this is not a game. Patience and determination. Staring at a gladiator. Staring at a gladiator. Talking about a revolution. No, this is not a game.
Number one hit goes to the Philadelphia 76ers. How about that, Mr. Simmons?
That kid has got a ton of game now.
That's an NBA move. He's a super sensational player. He is so special. Well, there's no question he's around this special. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Give me a break. Always give me the break.
Welcome to Brooklyn and the NBA Draft 2016, presented by State Farm. Tonight from the Barclays Center, home of the Nets for the fourth straight year. They will host the draft, and we welcome in now the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver.
Good evening, and welcome to the 2016 NBA Draft at Barclays Center, home of the Brooklyn Nets. Thank you to the Nets for hosting tonight's draft, and thank you to our fans here and around the world for joining us and for your support all season long. Before the draft begins, let me congratulate the Cleveland Cavaliers on winning their first NBA championship in franchise history and the city's first championship in 52 years. It was a dramatic ending to a thrilling season, and the 2016 NBA Finals were the most watched in our history. I also want to congratulate the Golden State Warriors on an outstanding Finals performance and a remarkable record-breaking season. What Cleveland and Golden State accomplished this past season started in many ways on this night. The draft is where the league's future stars are born and the foundation for future championships is set. Next season starts tonight, and for the players and families gathered here, this is the beginning of a new journey. These young men have dreamed of this day since the moment they first picked up a basketball, and their hard work is about to pay off. The first pick in the 2016 NBA Draft belongs to the Philadelphia 76ers, who have 5 minutes to make their selection.
The Sixers have 5 minutes here, but they've spent weeks examining, and perhaps there was some talk at one point that they would not go with Ben Simmons, but Philadelphia, for the third time in its history, will have the number one overall pick in the draft. The last time the Sixers picked first overall was 20 years ago in a tremendous draft. Allen Iverson was the pick, and he certainly led Philadelphia to plenty glory.
With the first pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Allen Iverson from Georgetown University.
Iverson led the way in that 96 draft. Look at the other guys who came out of that. Ray Allen, Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, Jermaine O'Neal. You know, Samaki Walker and his hat were drafted before Kobe Bryant that year. Remember that, the white top hat?
Yeah, I do remember that.
You were all over sports.
It got me off the hook.
Todd Fuller was drafted before Kobe Bryant.
No fewer than 4 Hall of Famers in that shot, by the way, of those first 5 players chosen.
It is an inexact science, and Philadelphia, who really has bungled the science, it seems, in recent years. They perfected the science of losing. They've done so supposedly with a plan to try to get to this point, to stockpile some draft picks. They have 3 first-round picks tonight. They pick in the top 3 for the 3rd straight year, tying the longest streak ever in NBA history. And these are the guys that they've added. Jahlil Okafor was the 3rd pick last year. Joel Embiid out of Kansas, due to myriad injuries, has not played yet. But Embiid has been cleared, and they hope to finally get him on the court this season. Now, Philadelphia planning to be active here, would like to move up in the draft again. Mark Stein joins us now. So, Mark, what are you hearing from the Sixers right now in terms of who they'd like to move and perhaps get another draft pick?
Reese, the Sixers want that number 3 pick from Boston, and I'm told that they're offering Nerlens Noel, number 24 and number 26 tonight, and Robert Covington. They put all that on the table, trying to get Boston to surrender the number 3 pick, presumably so they can go get Chris Dunn. Now, the Celtics have been searching all day for a better offer, but at this point, word is Philadelphia's in the lead for that number 3 pick.
All right, Mark, you see the Sixers have endured the process for a while. We're told the pick is just about in. Is that a good deal quickly, Zhelin, if they make that the Noel deal?
No, that is not a good deal. You select Chris Dunn. Do not make that move.
For Boston, you do not make the deal from Boston's standpoint.
Absolutely.
And the first pick in the draft, we believe it is going to be Ben Simmons. That's not a very well-kept secret. Here is the commissioner, Adam Silver, with the first pick for this 2016 draft.
With the first pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Ben Simmons from Melbourne, Australia, and Louisiana State University.
A sizable Sixers contingent on hand to celebrate this pick. Ben Simmons from Australia. At various points in his career, he's been compared in terms of skills to a LeBron James type of players. You see Johnny Jones is coached for 1 year at LSU, and that Sixers hat now goes on to Simmons as he makes his way to greet Adam Silver. So what do we get here from Ben Simmons with the Sixers, JB?
Well, you have a 20-year-old, 6'10", 245-pound, essentially forward with point guard skills. He can put the ball on the deck, and he is an outstanding finisher near the rim with either hand. He's got a 40-inch vertical. He averaged 5 assists per game as a forward at LSU. He's a big-time passer that has full court vision. He can pass out of the post. He's also shown to be a big-time rebounder. When he gets a defensive rebound, he can rip and go and take it in the open floor and complete a play in transition as a point guard would. He is not a great shooter. Only took 3 three-pointers on the year, making 1, and did not shoot much from the perimeter at all.
Did you say a forward with point guard skills? How about this guy? Somebody that we all know very well, and you coach, Jay. Grant Hill. He was 6'8", 225, and with bang on you, as you see. 7-time All-Star, 5 All-NBA team, played 18 seasons and made $143 million playing basketball. And by the way, freshman year, just like Ben Simmons, they both made 1 3-point shot.
Well, I mean, this is the thing that's always learned, or it can be learned. If he works hard enough at it, he can learn how to do it. Everything that the Sixers, every category, they're near the bottom or at the bottom. So Simmons doesn't have to worry about only shooting. He does so many things so well, as Jay has been pointing out. Those things alone can help elevate the 76ers over time. But let's face it, they got a long way to go, and so does he.
You see, the third #1 overall pick for the Sixers is Simmons. He bears more in common with Doug Collins and Allen Iverson. Collins was the first pick after the Sixers won 9 games the previous year. This 76er team won just 10, so a lot on Ben Simmons' shoulders. Visiting now with Lisa Salter.
Ben, this is what everyone expected, but it's now finally here. So can you share what it was like to be selected #1 overall?
It's amazing. You know, I'm happy that Sixers chose me. I've been working so hard to get to this point. You know, it's a great city, and I'm looking forward to getting to Philly.
Philly is the only team that you worked out for. So how are you so sure that this is going to be a good fit for you?
For Philly, it feels good. I feel relaxed. You know, I'm comfortable with the system. Great coaches, great people, a great young team, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, you already have a connection because your father played for the head coach of the 76ers, Brett Brown, and he is standing by now with our Andy Katz. Andy?
All right, thank you, Lisa. Yes, it was 1989 that David Simmons played for Brett Brown in Australia. So with that being said, David, what kind of advice can you give your son about playing for Coach Brown?
I think Coach Brown's a very passionate coach and loves the sport and is very detailed. So if Ben just follows his lead, I think he'll do just fine.
When did you realize he could be an NBA player?
well, we talk about this all the time, and maybe not to the past couple of years, as, you know, a lot of hurdles to jump, and you have to maintain whatever it is, position you have, and Ben's done a fantastic job of maintaining that #1 ranking on most people's books for the past few years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Reese.
Andy, David, thank you very much. Lakers on the clock now, just over 2 minutes to make their pick. Before we get to Los Angeles, Tom Penn. Tom, now the Sixers may make a lot more moves tonight, but how does Ben Simmons fit in right now?
Yeah, a long way to go. Take a look at the roster. Let's take a bigger picture look at what they have to improve their team and where he fits in with the rest of the work they've done. 6'11", Noel, 7 foot. Okafor, 6'11", 6'10". Not too many small guys on the floor, right? That's a problem. So what are they going to do the rest of the night? We hear they're hunting for the Boston pick. Could they make that trade that has been proposed and bring in the 3rd pick and a guard? Or could they go and make a young player for young player deal? Let's say D'Angelo Russell for Okafor. They weren't that far apart last year, right? Why not flip-flop? Something like this could happen, and then we get to the next phase of things where there's salary cap space to play with. $55 million for Brian Colangelo. Everybody else has got money, but there's a lot of work to happen here. The beauty of it is every decision goes through the filter. How does it complement this new franchise pillar? Getting #1 gives them clarity of direction. Now we get to see what they do.
All right, Tom, so the 76ers have a guy they're confident in building around. The Lakers have less than a minute to make their selection. They took D'Angelo Russell last year. They've got 3 consecutive losing seasons. What should the Lakers do, Jay?
They need scoring on the perimeter as well as perimeter defense. Brandon Ingram, to me, should be the choice, especially when you're going against Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant and so many big-time wings in the Western Conference.
So now the Lakers, with those 3 straight losing seasons, all of the drama surrounding D'Angelo Russell, Brandon Ingram expected to be the guy that they'll try to build a winning future around. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 2nd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Brandon Ingram from Duke University.
Ingram averaged better than 17 points per game, shot better than 40% for 3 for Mike Krzyzewski's Blue Devils. And according to ESPN Analytics, this is the guy that is most likely to perform at an all-star level in his first 5 years in the NBA. He's a terrific offensive player because of the body type. There have been comparisons to Kevin Durant. That's a lofty standard, but certainly it's a great place to start for Brandon Ingram and the Lakers.
Another multi-dimensional player. Brandon Ingram is the youngest college player in this draft. He is a full year younger than Ben Simmons. And he's a guy that's got great length with a 7'3" wingspan. He's got shooting ability, stretches it well out to three-point range. He made 80 threes this year, blocked over 40 shots. He's an isolation scorer. You can put him on the left side or the right side of the floor. More on the left. He can get to the rim. He can post up. He's got excellent shooting range and a terrific feel for the game. And he got much better as the season went along. Got off to a slow start. Shot 43% from 3 after November. Missed a lot of shots early and then really started knocking shots down with great regularity. 83s is the 2nd most by a Duke freshman since J.J. Redick hit 95 his freshman year. He is also a very good passer and a very good handler. Rebounds well, even though he is slight of build. He is stronger than he looks. And that 7'3" wingspan really helps him on the defensive end because he may not be quick enough to stay in front of point guards at that size, but the length really helps him. He blocks shots, he gets deflections, just a really good player that would be worthy of #1 if not for Simmons.
And that slight of build you talk about takes me away from Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant can play 4 and small ball. So that leads me to Paul George, who plays 2, he plays 3. He's also an isolation scorer. He's also been on all defensive teams, all NBA, will be on Team USA. A terrific two-way player, one of the best we have in the game.
So Brandon Ingram now goes to a franchise that won 17 games last year for the first time since 1996. They'll start without Kobe Bryant on the roster. Brandon Ingram gets to step into Los Angeles with Lisa Salters.
Storied franchise reinventing itself since Kobe Bryant has retired. What immediate impact do you think that you will be able to have in Los Angeles?
Just leadership. I know going into Duke I was a little shy. I shied away from leadership and being vocal. But knowing, being under Coach K, just bringing some professionalism to the team and just try to impact with scoring and my defending ability.
Now, one of the first things I said when I saw you yesterday was, look how skinny you are. There have been questions about your durability possibly in the NBA because you are a thin guy. What do you say about those concerns?
I'm only 18, of course. Weight is going to come naturally, but I'm focused on getting stronger right now. I have an inner strength that no one knows about, and I'm just continuing to get stronger each and every day.
Good luck in LA. Congratulations to you, Brandon. Reese.
And Lisa, the league's better when the Lakers are good. Is this the right step, Michael?
Well, I can see him in a lineup with Jordan Clarkson and Julius Randle. The question is then, what do the Lakers do as they try to establish a culture and an identity going forward? What do they do with D'Angelo Russell? I mean, do you want Russell in that lineup as well? I would not, Jalen. Again, Clarkson, Randle, fine, because you know you're going to want the ball in his hands so much at the time. His usage ought to be high. What do you do with Russell?
And if you are to move Russell, it'll probably be for the spot at center, where Roy Hibbert has become a declining player over the last couple of seasons.
All right, so Brandon Ingram, we know he can score. He's stronger than he looks sometimes. Tom, as you break down the analytics surrounding Brandon Ingram, how does it fit in with the Lakers and what can he bring?
Yeah, the stat geeks love him. He's #1 in ESPN's grade at 90.5. It takes in all these factors: shooting, youth, length, all of that. The differentiator, Reese, is the shooting and the distance. 41% from 3. That means it's 62% from 2 because 3's worth more than 2. And then it's more than that. You get to the versatility and the ability to drive. Jay's already broken it down, but he can get to the rim and finish. He can also stand on the perimeter, accept that pass and finish. And then he can make the pass too. Luke Walton coming from Golden State. How do they play with guys just like that? So he's a perfect fit for the new coach and the new system. It's going to take a little while, but his versatility makes him a big boom candidate.
All right, Tom, so as expected, Simmons has gone to Philadelphia. Ingram has gone to the Lakers. Welcome to the 2016 NBA Draft, which is officially starting now with the Boston Celtics on the clock. They have less than a minute to make their selection. The Celtics won 48 games last year, but they have the 3rd overall pick because of this trade back in 2013. The Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry deal that came to the Brooklyn Nets. The Celtics got draft picks, and you know what's more? They have the right to swap first-round picks with the Nets next year. The Nets probably aren't going to be good, so Boston may be right back up here again. They have 8 draft picks in this draft tonight. They have 3 in the first round at the moment. They are one of 4 teams in the draft to have 3 first-round picks at the moment. So now with 20 seconds left on the clock, Michael, what do you think that Boston should do right here? Continue to try to make a move?
Yes, because you can select a player, and it can still be an attractive trade situation because other teams are looking at the player you've selected, and then you can make the deal. So just because we don't have a deal announced now, or Danny Ainge hasn't made one yet, doesn't mean he's not going to.
You know, in the last 30 years, only one other team has won 48 games or more and had a pick in the top 3 spots of the draft. You remember who it was?
No.
I mean, they screwed it up royally, too. The Detroit Pistons.
Oh, wow.
They took Darko. They took Darko.
I should know the answer to that.
They left Carmelo on the table.
Man,
they left Chris
Dwayne
Bosh
Wade
out there and Dwayne Wade. So maybe that's why Danny Ainge wants to get rid of this thing. Right
Absolutely, but they have so many players on the perimeter that have shown they can be productive. And if you're going to take the asset, to me, it's Chris Dunn. But however, they need interior anchor help. So I agree with you. If you do take the pick, because I would not do that trade.
But Noel would not be your guy providing that defensive anchor help.
Noel will be more so than Okafor, because Okafor, to me, while he's a scorer, he's going to be a ball stopper and not a rim protector, as opposed to Noel, who's going to be able to get up and down the floor and play better defense.
I think Okafor will be a ball stopper, and then he puts the ball through the net. Now
Yes,
that'll stop everything.
He got to massage it a little bit, though.
And I'll tell you what, if I watch Darko Milicic work out right now, I might still draft him. That dude was great in workouts.
Workouts? There are a lot of guys in this draft that had some workouts that opened some eyes and moved up the draft board, and you can understand why it happens, because players mature at different rates, and sometimes you have to take a little bit of a flyer there. Boston, though, I'm not sure Boston is a team that should take a big flyer right now. It's close. They may not be good enough to win a championship.
They don't need to.
They're
they
good
don't
enough to win 50 games.
They're just not in need of somebody who can't help contribute.
Yep.
48 wins.
Yeah.
And they look like the team right now. We haven't hit free agency yet, but they look like the team that is closest to providing some sort of resistance to Cleveland if they have a big night tonight and in free agency.
They got to have a big-time guy, though, right? They need
you take the best available player. I mean, if you look back over the course of the draft, you can say, well, we've already got this, and then you pass up on something that is much more valuable than your need. And right now, I happen to think that Chris Dunn of Providence is the best available player. Now, reasonable minds can differ, but if it were my choice, I'd take Dunn. I wouldn't hesitate.
Celtics are going to make this pick, 3rd overall. The big question of the night is, will they keep it throughout the night and making the pick for themselves or for someone else? Boston with its first of 3 first-rounders. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 3rd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Zhelin Brown from the University of California, Berkeley.
Perhaps a surprise to some, Zhelin Brown averaged nearly 15 points in his lone season for the sturdy Golden Bears. Just this week, he went back to Boston for another workout and another chat with the Celtics brass. And again, trades have to go through the league. I'm not suggesting we know anything. I'm just saying we can pump the brakes just a little. But if this is the Celtics' choice, what do you think of it?
I like it because with his size at 6'6", he can play in the backcourt, he can play in the front court, he can be a ball handler, a guy that plays on the ball, off the ball. Defensively, he'll be able to compete. He has the athleticism and the strength to go against some of the elite wing players we have in the game.
Danny Ainge is also saying is as good as he is, we don't need another guard. Even if that guard is projected and best athlete available, as Jay suggested, we don't need that on this team going forward right now.
And Zhelin Brown is a big-time athlete. You know, he's 6'7", he's got a wingspan close to 7 feet. He plays really hard, he's an emotional player, he attacks the rim and can finish with either hand. Now he's got limited range on his shots. He shot 31% on jump shots, 29% from the three-point line. He had 67 assists, 105 turnovers. That was the worst rate in efficiency in Division I among players with 60 or more assists. So you put him in isolation, you put him in pick and roll, and he can attack downhill and get some things done. He's a physical specimen. He's got a great body. His body's NBA ready right now.
You said NBA ready body. How about this guy? When he first came into the league, averaged 25 and 5 for the Sacramento Kings. Tyreek Evans. That's who he reminds me of. The ability to do the 1-2 step, get towards the basket, continues to attack, playing downhill. Jump shot's going to be a work in progress. I really like this for the Boston Celtics.
So Zhelin Brown, who is without an agent to represent him in terms of negotiating with teams, going to do it himself with some advising from Isaiah Thomas, goes 3rd overall to the Boston Celtics. He's with Lisa Salters.
Now, Zhelin, you were telling us yesterday that you were thinking you were going to go somewhere in the top 10, but did you think, really, that you were going to go as high as number 3?
I honestly had no idea. I was sweating bullets over there. I was so nervous, but I'm glad I ended up where I am.
Now, you do not have an agent. You told us that you feel like you can speak for yourself, but you have been getting advice from Isaiah Thomas, who you met at Cal. What advice has Isaiah given you about what the next steps are for you in negotiating through this process?
Just enjoy it. You know, I'm still a kid. That's what he still says. He reminds me of that. I'm only 19, and sometimes we forget that because I'm trying to do things so independently. But just be a kid. Be yourself. Never compromise your values, and always remember who you are and where you came from.
Well, good luck and congratulations on going to Boston.
All right, thank you.
Reese.
All right, Lisa, and reaction from Zhelin Brown's camp was a positive one. This is a unique young man. He went to Cal, and in his freshman year, he took a graduate-level class there. He wore a coat and tie to all of his interviews with the NBA team, saying that he understood that the NBA was a business. Now, the Celtics were really good defensively. They didn't shoot it well, about 44% on the season. Zhelin Brown, assuming he stays, doesn't necessarily help that part of it.
Well, he is the only draftee that was the captain of the chess team in middle school, and that is something.
Do you know he's the only one, or you just know he is one of them?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And you can't really elect a captain because other guys may have been great leaders on their chess teams. He was just captain.
Here's the one. No, if you mentioned that Simmons' jump shot is not broken, JB, is his broken? I mean, is it fundamentally so unsound that they have to rebuild his shot?
No, he's got a decent stroke. He's not a great ball handler. You know, the turnovers show that. He was a little bit wild at times, but he's really good in transition. I mean, physically, he's ready. I mean, he's got all the tools, and he's one of these risk-reward guys at number 3. You take him at 3, he's got some developing to do, but the tools are all there. And he's a great kid. He's a hard worker. He seems to get it. But he's one of those guys that's got a ways to go. We talked about that. He was one of that quartet that I thought people could swing for the fences at. I didn't see it at 3. That's higher than I would have expected for Zhelin Brown.
Boston has a lot of opportunities to mix the puzzle pieces around. They have 3 first-round picks. So too do the Phoenix Suns. Now the Suns, if they can stay healthy, they're good in the backcourt. They weren't healthy this past year and had the second fewest wins in franchise history, only 23. They've missed the playoffs the last 6 years. That is a team record. Devin Booker out of Kentucky was an NBA all-rookie first-teamer, averaging nearly 14 points per game. He's a terrific shooter. And Earl Watson, hired as head coach on April 19th after taking over on an interim basis from Jeff Hornacek, who was fired in early February. So now the Suns have an opportunity with their draft picks tonight. Number 4 slot. America's team, as some would call them, with a half-minute left to make the pick here. You have said that you think it's going to be Marquise Chris, and it should be, and you think he has a huge upside.
That's who I would take if I'm the Phoenix Suns. They're a team that wants to get up and down the floor, and if you look at their bigs, Tyson Chandler, he gives them rebound and defense and toughness, and Lynn gives them some post-up scoring and a 15-foot shooter. But I think they need a stretch 4, and for them to open up the floor for players like Booker to really get to the basket and not only score, but have somebody to kick it out to.
So would you not take Chris in this position? You want a guy who can stretch more?
No, that's what I would say. I would take Chris, absolutely.
And he's a great athlete. He's just got a ways to go. The other guy that could be a stretch 4 is Dragan Bender from Croatia, who's playing with Maccabi Tel Aviv.
But now the question about Bender, I would think, the consensus is he's going to take a while. Maybe Chris will too, but Phoenix needs to win now, right? So does that enter into your thinking at this point?
It does, but you have to balance it. I mean, everybody wants to win now, but 5 years isn't really 4 or 5 years isn't really that long of a period. And if you're willing to wait, you can have a great asset in 4 years. Why not pull the trigger on that? That's the hard decision, because if it doesn't pay off, if the player doesn't develop, then you got to explain it. But that's it's sort of the Godfather. This is the business we've chosen. Everybody understands.
And Booker and Lynn are not guys who are ready to win now anyway.
Right.
So you're going to have to grow with them. So that seems like that Chris would be a nice fit in that package.
But the other thing you got to think about if you're the Phoenix Suns, you've had a couple of productive point guards that you let get away. In particular, Isaiah Thomas. So now you look at Chris Dunn, he falls to you. That has to be a part of your decision-making process as well.
They still have Bledsoe, though, and I hope that he'll be healthier, too, as well.
And Knight.
And Knight.
And Brandon Knight, too. So Phoenix, time is expiring. They'll have their pick coming in just a few minutes. You had a look at Dragan Bender a moment ago. We had a report during our pre-draft show that perhaps it wasn't as much of a slam dunk that Marquise Chris was headed to Phoenix. Now the decision has been made. The pick is in. Adam Silver will let us know who the Suns will take with the 4th overall pick.
With the 4th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Dragan Bender from Croatia. He last played for Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Bender, as we touched on, is a highly thought of talent. He's only 18 years old. He turned 19 in November. Only averaged 5 points a game playing this year for Maccabi Tel Aviv, but the reason for that, he was playing at a level where older players tend to soak up a lot of the playing time, but Bender is highly regarded because of some of the workouts that we've talked about. Young man from Croatia going to the Suns with the 4th overall pick. So I guess now that we've made 4 picks, 2 went as scripted, but the numbers 3 and 4 picks from Boston and Phoenix, 2 of the teams who will control this first round with the number of picks, have been a bit of a surprise. As you see, Dragan Bender greeting Adam Silver. He is now a member of the Phoenix Suns, at least for the moment. Let's take a look at the coach's playbook, brought to you by Speed Stickner, International Man of Mystery, Fran Fraschilla.
All right, Reese, what Phoenix has done is they've drafted a 7'1" piece of NBA silly putty. What do I mean by that? Ryan McDonough is going to turn this kid over to Earl Watson and the coaching staff and say mold him, because you're not going to find very often a 7'1" kid with agility, with skill, and some toughness. The first thing you like about him is he's a pick and pop floor man. He can really stretch the floor. Shot at about 36% this year from behind the international line. but that will be one of his go-to strengths in the league. Then you like his athleticism. He's agile. He can move his feet. He can guard and pick and roll, and he can run the floor. And like you mentioned, if you put this kid as he hits a jump hook in a gym with the best 19-year-olds in the world, Dragan Bender is going to be at the top of that chart. So Phoenix is not going to get a lot out of him early.
Your free agent, I'll take Dunn.
But I would play him 12 minutes a game, and I would make sure that they develop him over the next 82 games. Go to work, Earl Watson, with your coaching staff.
All right, Fran, there is the inevitable comparison that's going to come real quickly, Fran, with Kristaps Porzingis. They went the same spot in the draft. Real quickly, what are the differences between Bender and Porzingis?
28 months, Reese. Porzingis is 28 months older, 16 months older at the same time a year ago. And Porzingis was proven at the second best league in the world in Spain. Bender didn't play much, as you mentioned, so it's not like he can't be a Porzingis, but he's probably at least a year away from what Kristaps did last year for the New York Knicks. But you gotta like him because of the size, length, and athleticism.
And certainly the success of Porzingis made people much more receptive to Bender going number 4 to the Suns. He's with Lisa Salter.
Dragan, you played in Israel the last couple of years, so many NBA fans may not be familiar with your game. Just how would you describe your style of play?
Right, just overall, a versatile player. I can do a lot of things on the both ends of the floor. In defense, just, switch on multiple positions and stay in the front of the guards on the perimeter. And in offense, just a big guy who can stretch the floor and shoot from outside and deliver the ball with, extra pass and everything, and handle the ball on open court and a half court.
You were explaining to me yesterday that it's been a tough year, a tough season in Israel. The team didn't do as well as expected. You had trouble getting minutes. But just now you told me you feel so much relief. Why the relief you're going to the Phoenix Suns?
I have over here, people with me that I started doing this, since I was 12 years old with the academy in Croatia. And right now, having people over here and just after all these years of hard work, everything is pay off with a one night over here. And, dream come true. And, it's a great feeling. It's relieving, after this week, after this tension and everything. So it's a great feeling.
Congratulations, Dragan.
Thank you very much.
Reese.
Lisa, Dragan, thank you very much. Chris Dunn is still waiting. In fact, all of the guards on the board, high on the draft boards, are waiting. The Minnesota Timberwolves with that young talent on the clock, under a minute and a half to go. Jamal Murray from Kentucky. Coach Cal has lobbied for him to go in this spot. Will it be Murray? Will it be Dunn? Could it be Buddy Hield, as Buddy Love still sitting at the table, two-time Big 12 Player of the Year, as everybody's been following Ben Simmons tonight.
We exist to assist. And in part by JBL, the official sound of the NBA. Gatorade, the proven sports fuel. And Dos Equis. Stay thirsty, my friends. Please enjoy Dos Equis responsibly.
Sun setting here in Brooklyn. The Timberwolves with the 5th overall pick. Their pick is in now. The commissioner, Adam Silver, is Tom Thibodeau taking over as head coach. And president of basketball operations has made a choice.
With the 5th pick in the 2016 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Chris Dunn from Providence College. See you.
Another strong young player to go with the Timberwolves. They had 4 guys under 23 years of age who started 80 games and averaged double figures this past year. Now they get Chris Dunn, who is a college graduate. He had another year of eligibility left if he had chosen to take it. He's a 4th-year junior. Some shoulder issues early in his career. But he was versatile, he was spectacular, and if Tom Thibodeau is taking over the team, you want a defender, and Chris Dunn can certainly do that because Timberwolves struggled on defense.
Well, he is an elite defender, and Reese, Chris Dunn was the only player in the country to average over 16 points, over 5 rebounds, over 6 assists, and over 2 steals. He is another guy that's multi-dimensional, a great athlete. He's got tremendous length at a 6'9.5" wingspan. And when he gets downhill off pick and rolls, he can really attack the lane and get to the rim. But where he's really valuable is defensively. But a versatile scorer, we talk about getting downhill all the time. What that really means is just attacking the basket. And he's got an excellent handle, those long arms, and the explosion he has off the floor. He can get up and really finish through contact. He's also an excellent passer. Averages over 6 assists per game. The last couple of years, he's been in the top 3 in both assist rate and in steals rate. You don't see that very often. But his defensive ability really sets him apart. He can guard almost anyone. And I think you're looking at a guy in Chris Dunn that is going to be on the all-defensive team in the NBA for many years to come if he stays healthy. He's had a couple of shoulder problems and shoulder surgeries, but clearly he was cleared by the doctors. He'll be fine, it seems like, but what a great kid. He's had a difficult upbringing and has really come through.
And being a competitor, you can tell he's a little bit disappointed, but you know what I would tell him? Don't cry, dry your eye. Be happy you got picked by Minnesota. That's just calm. John Wall, guy, he wasn't a knockdown shooter when he came out of college, but is a really good defender, is really fast, is a good playmaker, and is really strong. And I know Tibbs likes that toughness from his basketball team.
Looking at that lineup a little bit, projecting though, what is Andrew Wiggins going to do? Is he going to move to 3? Can he play 3? Particularly defensively, Jalen, because you're going to have Ricky Rubio. You know you've got Towns. You've got some firepower in that lineup with Chris Dunn, but it also means probably in short time, Wiggins has to move to
yes, indeed. You got to accept that responsibility.
And also, with like anybody else, the Timberwolves have been looking for veteran guys. Will they end up keeping Chris Dunn? Thibodeau asked me, I would say yes. Lisa Salters is with Chris Dunn right now. He never asked him.
Thank you, Reese. Chris, you had some tough times growing up. You were separated from your father when you were young. Your mother was in prison, but you made it. You were drafted to the NBA. Just tell me, I can see the emotion in your eyes. Just tell me, what does it mean to you after everything you've gone through to be here right now?
Man, probably one of the best feelings ever. You know, supporting my family. My mom, she passed away. I know she's looking up at me. I mean, I'm doing this for my city. Everybody got support for me. I love everybody, man.
And I know that you've really planned for this, and you're so emotional right now, but you've got to show everyone your outfit that you're wearing. The inside of your jacket, tell me what Whalers and the number 3, what does that represent?
My city, this is my high school team, New London Whalers. You know, that's where it all started. They showed so much support and love. So I just try to give it back.
And the shoes, Chris, the shoes. What's up with the shoes?
Yeah, these is Gucci. You know, got it the other day. You know, I had to show some spunk. The whole suit made by JCPenney, made by Jay Ferrer. So, you know, shout out to JCPenney.
Well, I know this is an emotional night for you. Congratulations and good luck to you in the rest of your NBA career.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Reese.
Lisa, thank you very much. And the story to which Lisa alluded with Chris Dunn's upbringing and his background, his mom, who has now since passed away, took Chris and his brother away from Connecticut and to Virginia. The dad, John, was looking for them. John Selden was looking for Chris Dunn, and his brother eventually found them, and with a court order from Connecticut went and retrieved them. They had been living on their own for a while when Chris was less than 10 years old. They were hustling for food, just trying to survive, and John brought him back, brought him into his family after he'd remarried, and Chris became a hugely successful basketball player, overcame the injuries and the emotional journey that he's been on, and the culmination of it being drafted tonight with the 5th overall pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and you saw that emotion. Jay Williams is with us. Jay, Chris Dunn has been one of my favorite players in college basketball for the last couple of years, and certainly he could have big things in store with the T-Wolves.
You know what, RD, the thing I love about him the most, he plays with a chip on his shoulder each and every night, and there's no doubt about it. He is the most dynamic point guard in this draft, and we're going to see a clip here of him going against North Carolina. The thing to pay attention to in this clip as we watch, we're going to see Marcus Page. Marcus Page is backpedaling as he's getting back defensively, and Chris Dunn recognizes that. Now, when he gets to this point right here, the ability to stop on the dime, but also recognize Marcus Page and Bryce Johnson, like Mark Jackson would say, hand down, man down. He recognizes that, able to pull up for a jump shot, very smooth. He's confident offensively, able to get to and where he wants to on the court the whole time. Now, this is a great clip because he's going against Ryan Arcidiacono here at Villanova. He's the top defender on the perimeter, probably in the country. I want you to see his ability to change speeds as quickly, okay? Ryan Arcidiacono giving him this lane. He's going to try to attack this gap right there. But the thing to pay attention to is when he attacks this gap, now look how he has him off bounds. his ability to stop on a dime and then go back towards the middle, I'm going to let this play speak for itself. Now, he doesn't finish the play, but let's go back and check it out one last time. Fast play. As the play develops, we're going to see it happen again. He waves him off. He's going to attack that left shoulder. He's going to attack that left shoulder, gets there, change the speed. That's very much like Kyrie Irving. His ability to get to the basket. He has a floater. He also averages around 6 assists per game. He makes everybody else better. No doubt about it. Chris Dunn is the best guard in this draft.
All right, Jay Will, and Dunn has gone to Minnesota. The Pelicans are on the clock right now. The pick will be in just a moment. Now, the Pelicans need some help for Anthony Davis. What do they need to do here?
Spot up shooting. Probably Jamal Murray or Buddy Hield.
I wrote down Hield or Murray. Knockdown shooting.
I'm so happy for Chris Dunn. I know that kid, and I'm really happy for him.
So am I. Very happy for Dunn. Who are we happy for next? Adam Silver with the Pelicans pick.
With the 6th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Buddy Hield from Freeport, Bahamas, and the University of Oklahoma.
You saw the shirt in the crowd. Probably the only thing you can say right now is Boomer. There's Buddy Hield, the Oklahoma star. Led the Sooners to the Final Four, averaged 25 points per game. Put on shooting displays night after night. A senior, Michael Wilbon's delighted to see a senior go this high in the draft.
Yeah.
Played 4 years for Oklahoma. You see him hugging lines, improved there and improved each and every year. And not only just improved the numbers, Jay, as you watch Buddy Hield, he seemed to add a different facet to his game each season as well.
One of the hardest workers in this draft. He's got a great work ethic, and this is a kid who shot on a milk crate growing up in the Bahamas, and now look at him going to the NBA draft number 6 in New Orleans. He is a big-time shooter. He's got a wingspan of 6'9.5", a 40-inch vertical that was measured by the Lakers. He is much more athletic than I think he gets credit for, but he's got a really quick release on his shot. His shot preparation and his footwork impeccable in getting shots. He really hunts shots, but that quick high release, he gets it off quickly and he gets it off against really good defenders. But he developed over his time at Oklahoma into a scorer's mentality. He had, 14, 15 games over 30 points in a game this year. Shot 73% effective field goal percentage on catch and shoot. Very good in transition. He plays ahead of the defense and he prepares himself to shoot in transition because those outside of off an offensive rebound, those are the best three-pointers to get. He's improved his defense. He's an excellent player that I think is going to have a long career.
And the attribute I want to highlight is knockdown shooting. Buddy's better off the dribble, and Buddy has more bounce. But however, Boshan Leonard won a three-point contest in the NBA and was a knockdown shooter for a really long time, 38% on his career. And by the way, he's my high school teammate.
John Leonard?
Yes, indeed.
You know what I remember about Michon Leonard was Dr. Jack Ramsey when he would get out, Leonard, oh my. And he might be calling out Buddy Hield regularly with the Pelicans, the pride of the Bahamas. And I'm going to tell you, everybody in the Bahamas has been following his career in college, and now they all just became Pelican fans, Lisa.
Well, Buddy, times were tough for you and your family growing up. Just tell me, what does this mean for your entire family to be drafted?
Man, I just happy for my family, happy where we come from, and just glad we were able to far. We couldn't have done without God. I fight many days and grind night out in the gym. But I'm just thankful for God bless me in this moment, and the moment I get to share with my family.
Is it true that you and your 5 brothers and sisters all had to, 6 brothers and sisters had to share the same bed growing up?
Yes, for sure. I saw we was going to use less fortunate back home, but our mom kept us strong, and big shout out to my mom for keeping the family together, and we couldn't lose without her.
So what's the first thing that you're going to buy when you sign your deal?
Put money in church and buy my mom a house.
Nice, I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Reese, back to you.
All right, Lisa, so here's what the Pelicans depth chart looks like now. Now, Eric Gordon's an unrestricted free agent. Holiday and Evans can become free agents after next season, so now they have Buddy Hield to move into the mix.
Well, except for Jaylen Brown going to a playoff team. At the top of the lottery, you go to bad teams. He's going to a team that missed out, but they've been in the playoffs, and more importantly, Hield gets to play with Anthony Davis. This is a luxury. Not many guys coming out. They get to play with a first-team caliber, all-league player. And I just think Hield's going to be a really great fit in that system in New Orleans, particularly playing with Anthony Davis. He has room.
Now, Jay mentioned how Buddy Hield had the opportunity to be a very good defender. That's another area in which the Pelicans could certainly improve. But knocking down buckets, that's what Buddy can do for you. Where will Jamal Murray go? He's still waiting in the green room. Welcome back to the NBA Draft 2016, presented by State Farm. 6 picks have been made. Denver Nuggets now on the clock, and the reason the Nuggets are on the clock is because of the Carmelo Anthony trade. This pick would have belonged to the New York Knicks, who do not have a pick in this draft. You see the recap of the trade from 2011. Melo scoring points for the Knicks, and the Nuggets hoping to get a guy who can do that for them this year. This past season, Denver had 121 starts by rookies. That's more than anybody in the NBA. Which young player will they add next? We presume it will be another guard, perhaps a sharp shooting one. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 7th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Jamal Murray from Kitchener, Canada, and the University of Kentucky.
There's John Calipari, who has another lottery pick, this one being Jamal Murray, who averaged 20 points per game, another player with an international background who grew up in Canada, played a year for the Wildcats. Calipari saying all day today that he believes that Murray will lead all rookies in scoring next year. No Kentucky freshman had ever scored more points per game than Jamal Murray did this year. Now, Jay Williams has talked about maybe some concerns about lateral quickness. There's certainly no concern about his offensive game and ability to shoot.
No, and this is who Denver was really targeting and really wanted and got him. He is wired to score, just has a knack to make buckets. And he made 113 three-point field goals this season. That's second all-time by a freshman in NCAA history. Number 1, Steph Curry, who had 122 his freshman year. He is deadly in catch-and-shoot situations at his most efficient, 68% effective field goal percentage in catch-and-shoot, but he is very good coming off screens. He's got a really good stroke, just instinctive, wired to score. It's in his DNA. He's also got a great handle. He was a point guard in high school. I think he can play some point guard. Not a speed merchant, but just kind of understands how to play on the offensive end. But his handle with the ball, he's not a great passer. That's not something he was set up to do this last year at Kentucky. He was out there to score, and over his last 16 games, averaged 23 points per game. Maybe not a great individual defender, but a great offensive player.
I got you, Jay. You want somebody that's not speedy or a passer, lack lateral quickness, but wired to score? How about Michael Redd? A guy that averaged over 20 points per game 6 straight seasons, shot 38% in his career from 3, and made $102 million playing in the National Basketball Association.
With Jamal Murray joining Emmanuel Mudiay, Denver's got to feel they've got their backcourt for the next, 6 to 8 years at the very least. To pair those guys, some varied skills there. They got to feel pretty good about this in Denver.
And how about the 2 young big men, too? Nikola Jokic and Jusuf Nurkic. How much can they play together? Denver missed the playoffs 3 straight years after going 10 straight years after that. And they have to feel like they're back on the right track. Jamal Murray with Lisa Saunders.
Jamal, you were telling us that you didn't care which team selected you. You just wanted to know where you were going to live. So how does Denver sound to you?
Denver sounds good. I'm just happy to be, with a great organization and, part of the NBA now. It's been 19 years waiting for this moment, so it's an amazing experience.
You describe yourself as a point guard with a 2 guard's body. Which position will you feel more comfortable playing in the NBA?
Whatever the team needs. It's going to take me a little bit, to get into the flow of things and just feel the team in the NBA. But I'm down to do whatever it is. I'm ready for it.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you,
Reese.
All right, Lisa. So Jamal Murray, goes to Denver. Sacramento is on the clock. Jay Williams, I mentioned a little bit about some of your concerns. Tell us what you mean, what you see from Jamal Murray.
Well, the beautiful thing, RD, for Jamal Murray is that there's still room for improvement, especially in the defensive end. We're going to see in this first clip him going against Mississippi State. And defensively, we're going to label him out here so everybody can recognize where he is. He does a couple of things wrong just to kind of start the whole thing off. So first off, defensively, when it comes out, he's guarding the ball. He's parallel to the defender. When you're parallel to the offensive player, you allow the offensive player to attack either way. You're not going to be able to do that at the next level. Something else to pay attention to here. His feet. If you pay attention to his feet, it's very jumpy. It's very jumpy. He's not down in the stance. He's not dictating which way he wants the offensive player to go. Offensive player able to drive around him, get to the rack. Once again, as the next play comes up, we're going to find him again in transition. He's here in transition. He's going to try to close out to the ball. He gets out to the ball. Now, when you play defense, it's all about playing defense and being down. And when you watch him here defensively, he was, instead of sitting down in a defensive stance, okay, RD, he was hunched over at the waist. And when you're hunched over at the waist, once again, you allow the offensive player to attack the middle. Now, when you're going against at the next level, these are the kind of guys you have to go against. Damian Lillard, John Wall, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving. All these guys are so quick laterally that he's going to have to find ways to really take care of himself defensively. He reminds me a little bit of Sam Cassell. He could play the game slower. He just has to be a little bit more efficient on the defensive end.
All right, Jay Will, so 4 of the 7 picks have been made. The Kings have a little over a minute to make their selection. You look at the draft board so far, real international flavor, though 3 of the 4 international players did have experience in U.S. college basketball. Dragan Bender to the Suns being the only pure international player. And now here are the Sacramento Kings back in the lottery, and here are the people that they have picked, and they've had a little trouble getting some of these to work out. Now, obviously, DeMarcus Cousins has put up terrific numbers since going 5th overall in 2010. And McLemore's been a little bit of a mixed bag. Willie Cauley-Stein, great defensive player, averaged 7.5 rebounds for the Kings last year, who missed the playoffs once again. Marquise Chris still sitting out there. Is that the direction that the Kings will go now? Thought to be in the top 8. Here's Commissioner Silver.
With the 8th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Marquise Chris from the University of Washington.
So there is Marquise Chris, who averaged nearly 14 points per game, 5 rebounds. Now, what he had problems with was staying in the game. He fouled out more than half of his first 20 games at the University of Washington. He certainly improved with that as the season went along and adapted to the college games. He's giving a hug to his coach at UW, Lorenzo Romar. Marquise Chris putting on the Kings hat, making his way to the stage. Now, look at a guy, Jay, and you mentioned how explosive he is.
Well, he's got a great future ahead of him. He's one of those high-risk, high-reward players.
So Marquise Chris shakes Adam Silver's hand. He's wearing a Kings hat right now, but Andy Katz is with us. And Andy, is this a pick that looks to be on the move?
Not looks to be, it is on the move. The Sacramento Kings have confirmed to me that Marquise Chris is being drafted for the Phoenix Suns, which makes a lot of sense because we thought the Suns wanted him at that number 4. And I can tell you that Dragan Bender's crew has just told me that he is not part of this deal. So the Phoenix Suns get Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris in this draft. We'll have to work out the rest of this trade as it develops, but the Kings confirming that they are drafting this pick for the Phoenix Suns.
All right, Andy, great little piece of news there, and we were a little surprised when the Suns didn't take Chris at 4. They're going to get him. What exactly are they getting?
Well, they're getting a young player who's an absolute freak athlete. He plays above the rim. He's 6'10". He's got a 7-foot wingspan and a 39-inch vertical leap. That's a pretty good combo, but he's still really young. He can offensive rebound. He can block shots. We talked about that great athleticism, and he can step away and knock down a perimeter shot. He had 55 blocks this season. That's a freshman record at Washington, but he also had 137 fouls. That's over 4 per game. And with his foul total, I mean, that's one of the highest foul totals in the last 20 years. But he hasn't been playing basketball all that long, and he's going to continue to get better and better. He's got a great future ahead of him.
I said the Phoenix Suns needed help at stretch forwards. Well, they got 2 of them.
Lots of help.
In particular, Marquise Chris, who plays a lot like Rashard Lewis. You remember him, a 2-time All-Star, played 16 years in the league. helped lead the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals playing stretch 4, and made $155 million from the National Basketball Association.
Oh, that's really good. And by the way, I might have missed one, but cheers, America. Billis just said wingspan. I think it might be the first time tonight. Marquise Chris on his way to the Suns with Lisa
Toss
Stone.
it up.
Now, Marquise, I was worried I was going to have to break the news to you, but you said you already knew that you were being traded to the Suns. How did you find out?
My agent let me know before they had already made the pick.
So how did you feel about it?
I mean, I'm fine with it. I love the city down there. I like the coaching staff, and I'm willing to go down there and learn.
You told us that you wanted to be able to go someplace where you could make mistakes because you said you knew that you needed to work on your game. Do you feel like this is the right fit?
No, I feel like it's a great fit for me. The coach, Earl Watson, he's a real down-to-earth guy, and he's willing to let me play through my mistakes. Me and him talked about it, and just I know it's going to take time for me to grow.
Congratulations to you. Good luck in Phoenix.
Thank you.
Reese.
All right, Lisa, so you might be asking now, and just to clear up some of the vernacular, well, if Marquise Chris is on his way to Phoenix, why is he still wearing that Kings cap? In the NBA, all trades are proposed trades until they're approved by the league. Once they're approved, they'll come out and make the announcement. But at the moment, based on Andy Katz's reporting, we don't see any reason why the trade wouldn't be approved. But at the moment, that's why it's still a proposed trade, at least in terms of the vernacular. Do you like what the Suns have done, picking up both Bender and Chris, apparently?
I do, and I like Chris for them anyway. Not that I get to steal Jalen's category of comps, but part of him reminds me of a young Amari Stoudemire. The freakish athletic nature, what he can do, and he can shoot it. Obviously, Amari didn't do that as much when he was young, but also the foul trouble is a lot. He's raw, like Amari was when he was starting in that Suns lineup, whatever, 10, 12, 13 years ago. But Alex Len and Tyson Chandler, your incumbent bigs, what happens there? I mean, I just wonder if, and Chandler gives you a veteran presence that a team, that's like daycare they're running down there in Phoenix, Jay Billis. They're so young, they make the Minnesota Timberwolves like a senior citizen center. So you need Chandler. Alex Len, what happens? Is there enough time and space in the front court for him playing a very different role?
But they have got getting that talent that they may have to wait a little while, but if those guys are what they're projected to be, those are two really good picks for Phoenix.
Okay, so we've had 8 picks made, and right now the Toronto Raptors are on the clock. They're on the clock because of a trade they made. By the way, the Raptors in each of the last 3 seasons, they've set a franchise record for victories, winning 56 games last year. 2013 trade, again with the Knicks. The Knicks have been quite benevolent in terms of providing draft choices for people tonight. And the Nets. This was part of the Andre Bargnani trade, and the Knicks got him. The Raptors received this pick that they won't use. Now, as I mentioned, the Raptors had great success. They got to keep DeMar DeRozan. That's one of the first priorities for this team after winning 56 games a year ago. They're inside a half minute to go on the clock. They're the only team to win their division in each of the last 3 seasons. And, of course, they went to the playoffs and pushed hard against Cleveland before falling in 6 games to the Cavaliers. A hard-fought series. And behind the mid-range shooting of DeMar DeRozan, they had a terrific year. So now, with clock winding down, what do you think the Raptors need to do here?
They could use another big, also some wing shooting. I wouldn't surprise based on what's on the board. They go inside, interior big.
Bigs, because Bismack Biyombo also have to make sure they try to keep him around if they can. Adam Silver with the pick of the Toronto Raptors.
How about that? Henry Ellenson.
Is that what you say?
Yeah, why not?
We'll see what he says.
With the 9th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Jakob Poeltl from Vienna, Austria, and the University of Utah.
I don't know how much you kids love the analytics, but among the top draft picks, not necessarily that Jakob Poeltl will be the biggest star, but based on all the criteria that goes into the analytics, Jakob Poeltl the least likely to be a bust in his first 5 years. He's got the tremendous size. He averaged 17 and 9 for the Utes, blocked a shot and a half a game. Pac-12 Player of the Year for Utah. Shot nearly 65% from the floor as Larry Krystkowiak, his college coach, is there celebrating, and Jakob Poeltl is on his way. It was just exactly what you were looking for, another big inside.
Absolutely, and I'm on a mission to retire the word bust. Maybe somebody that doesn't play up to expectation, because when you walk across this stage and you do this handshake, you get a chance to change the dynamic of your family and buy your mother a house. And to me, if I make it to the elite level of my profession, I am not a Buck.
There's no lifetime Buck there, is there? No, it really is. Here's another guy joining a playoff team, which changes the pressure on him. He is not needed to contribute heavily in any statistical way, and so they needed a bid, clearly. Zhelin, you were right about that.
And Zhelin, I would be happy if you would buy my mother a house. I think that would be great. Jakob Poeltl from Austria through the University of Utah, the best export from Austria since the Von Trapp family. He's also the first back-to-the-basket low-post player that's been drafted. We talk about how the NBA's changed. If you don't have a lot of back-to-the-basket guys being drafted, he's the first one.
He said back to the basket, and probably 15, 20 pounds ago, I compare him to Chris Kaman, 7 foot, 265, 13 years in the NBA and still counting. A throwback big. How about this, Jay Billis? He could probably buy your mother a house. He's made $87 million playing in the league.
Jakob Poeltl, picked by the Raptors, 9th overall in the lottery, and the former Utah star, now a Toronto Raptors with Lisa.
Jakob, you played at Utah, so you have experience with the American game, something that many other international players don't have. How do you think that experience will translate and help you as you transition to the NBA?
It's amazing for me. Like, playing 2 years at Utah was an unbelievable experience, and I think not a lot of guys coming over from Europe get the chance to get used to the American style of play here and kind of prepare for the NBA like I did.
Congratulations to you. Have a great career.
Thank you.
Reese.
Lisa, Jakob, I'm sure his parents are proud, both members of the Austrian national volleyball team. So with the Bucks on the clock now, JV, who are the best available guys?
Well, you can see Henry Ellenson, you got Deontay Davis, couple of big guys, but don't be surprised if you see, DeJounte Murray of Washington or Thon Maker out of Australia. There are a lot of swinging for the fences that can happen. The draft really starts at 9 in my judgment.
Bucks on the clock. Back after this. Welcome back to the 2016 NBA Draft presented by State Farm. Milwaukee Bucks on the clock. They are tied for the youngest team in the NBA with Utah and Philadelphia, averaging a little less than 25 years for age. Now, they got more than 50 points per game in the paint. That led the NBA. The bad news to that is they were dead last in three-point shots made and attempted, so they could use a shooter. Several of them have already been drafted. 89 wins over the last 3 seasons. That is the 6th fewest number of wins in the NBA, but they have some pieces to work with. They've got Jabari Parker. They've got Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's been terrific. Who do you think the Bucks should go after?
They also a poor rebounding team and probably could use some interior toughness, so I go with Deontay Davis.
That speaks to Davis, but Ellenson, a local product from Marquette. Do you pass up the hometown
he
kid?
Gets you rebounds and he gets you
stretch
points.
him a little bit.
So yeah, either one of those guys I like.
They worked out Thon Maker, who is the only high school player in the draft from Australia, and liked him a lot. I don't know if they take that high risk, high reward here, but they certainly could go that way.
What do you think they should do? Would that be a smart move in your judgment to take that time?
Long term, it could be, but that's the thing. The reward is great, but there's risk involved with it.
Commissioner Adam Silver now with the 10th pick in this draft. The Milwaukee Bucks making their selection right now.
With the 10th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Thon Maker from South Sudan and Perth, Australia.
Thon Maker is perhaps the most well-traveled of anyone who will be drafted tonight. There were reports earlier today that there was concern over just how old Thon Maker is. Believed to be 19, some thought maybe 2 to 4 years older. Now, here's a bio-blast on Thon Maker if you're not familiar with him. He was born in the Sudan, escaped at the age of 6 during the Civil War. Moved to Australia, lived there for 8 years. When he was 14, he came to the United States. played there for a while before going to Canada. Now, Jay mentioned the high school angle. The NBA, in talking to them this week, they went through all of his transcripts to try to determine exactly when he completed his high school coursework. It was determined that he did so at the end of 2015, so the year that he spent the prep school in Canada was deemed as a postgraduate year, thereby making him eligible for the NBA draft, and he goes number 10. Now, Jay, some people didn't know if he would go this high. Why is Thon Maker going this quickly?
I think when Milwaukee worked him out, they really liked the fact that he's a 7-footer, he's really young, and he's super athletic with quick feet, and they felt like he could really shoot it.
So Thon Maker from Australia goes to the Bucks. Fran, for showing out, what are they getting in Thon Maker?
Well, first of all, they're getting a guy that's traveled more than Flat Stanley. Think about it. And he's almost as skinny. But I know this about the Bucks. They went for the fences with the Greek freak. Giannis Antetokounmpo, they hit a home run. And with this kid, Jay's right. Long, athletic, 7'3" wingspan. And by the way, we had a chance to see him last summer at the Under Armour All-American Camp, and I absolutely love the kid. He is a competitor. He's got a huge heart. He does have to get stronger, but in terms of his athletic ability, you got to take a shot here because he's unique. He really is. The most favorite thing I love about the kid is he loves to play the game, and he'll do anything to get better. So once again, Milwaukee is taking a guy who has a lot of upside, much like the Greek freak, and they're hoping to hit it out of the park one more time.
All right, Franny, and Antetokounmpo, Thon Maker playing for Jason Kidd, along with Jabari Parker now, Thon Maker with Lisa.
Thon, you could have been in the green room with the other guys, but you chose to sit up in the stands instead. How come?
You know, I just felt comfortable wherever I sat. You know, I just wanted to be near my family and, you know, just sit where I was comfortable. You know, I thought it was easier that way, and this happened right here.
Fair enough. You don't have any college experience. So how do you know that you're ready for the NBA?
I think it's basically on the team personnel, like how they want to use me, because they can use me at a position where I would have to grow first, or they can use me at a position where, you know, I can help out straight away. But, you know, I feel like I'm ready because I trust my game. You know, I really worked in my game for a short time period, but I put in a lot of work and a lot of reps into it.
Congratulations to you. Have a great career.
Thank you.
Reese.
Lisa, Thon, thank you very much. Orlando Magic on the clock now with the 11th overall pick. The Bucks just taking Thon Maker, and this is the way their depth chart looks now with the addition of the big Australian young man who was born in the Sudan. Thon Maker is a guy who certainly can give the Bucks a variety of skills and talents, but when you look at this, is this the right move for the Bucks? Did you like taking this big chance?
I did. It shows me that this team is going to have the personality of their head coach, Jason Kidd, who was a triple-double waiting to happen when he played. And he embraces positionless players, guys that can do multiple things with the basketball, guys that can rebound and get it off the backboard and make plays for themselves and for others. So it definitely makes sense. They're trying to be team futuristic and see if they can have 2 7-foot guys out there that can play 4 different spots.
Length and athleticism and disrupting offense, all this revolutionary offense we're seeing. What do you do to sort of counter that? And that may be what the Bucks are thinking about. When you're thinking about Antetokounmpo and now Maker somehow together on the floor, you know, with Jabari Parker, you can move a guy like Greg Monroe into a more rotation capacity if you don't think he's long enough, athletic enough. So Milwaukee's clearly going after an identity of its own here, Jalen.
You're going to move Greg Monroe to another team.
You know, I think it's the way the game has grown internationally. We've seen so many international players drafted tonight. It's unusual that you have a guy who has as much mystery surrounding him as Thon Maker did. So Milwaukee does its homework and they take him with the 10th pick. And now Orlando is sitting on the clock. They are on a run of missing the playoffs for the 4th straight season. They have Frank Vogel now as the head coach. They've started to improve as the Magic and some of their young players have grown and provided more wins, 10 wins from the previous season to last year. And Frank Vogel taking over after Scott Skiles steps down. Magic had a 35-47 record last year, and you know, this might be a place where Orlando wants to gamble on upside. They have 5 different guys average in double figures. Nikola Vucevic could certainly use some interior help on defense, but this might be a place where Orlando tries to take a guy with huge upside.
Yeah, and they need rim protection. You hear that a lot. They need somebody to protect the lane and block some shots. That could be Deontay Davis of Michigan State. It could be Skal Labissiere, of Kentucky, even though neither of those players are ready right now. Those are guys you're going to have to wait on for a little while. It's an investment in the future. But we've seen, that's why I said I thought the draft started at 9. The first 8 picks went not perhaps in order that we thought, but the group of 8 that we thought. And then now it's starting to get mixed up a little bit. And just like you saw with Milwaukee, do you take what's solid, you know what you're getting, like Denzel Valentine or Domantas Sabonis, who's a great rebounder, and you know you got solid right there that contribute right away? Or do you go with something that gives you a little bit more? You know, you got a chance for something better in the future. But you have a chance at less too. You know, that's kind of the risk-reward thing that teams are having to make their mind up on right now, because as we go further down in the draft, there's not as many great players as we've had in past years.
We'll see what decision the Magic have made now. Oladipo, teams have been trying to pry him away. Would Orlando make a move later tonight? Let's see what they do with this draft pick. Here's Commissioner Silver.
With the 11th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Domantas Sabonis from Kaunas, Lithuania, and Gonzaga University.
Domantas Sabonis, the son of Arvydas Sabonis, going to the Magic with the 11th pick. You see the hugs being shared all around. I have a quick trivia question for you guys. Domantas is the 9th player drafted whose father is in the Hall of Fame. Can you name the first one? I'm going to take that as a no.
The first one, no.
Terry Mikan, son of George Mikan, drafted by the Lakers in the 4th round in 1970, I believe, played a year for the Cavaliers.
I'd like to have said, oh, I was going to have that, Reese. I was not going to have that.
Well, Terry Mikan told me the Mikan drill was named after him. I'm sensing he was a liar.
Domantas Sabonis greeting Adam Silver, and tough guy from Gonzaga, JB.
He is a tough guy. He is a lefty, 6'10", doesn't have long arms, but grabs 15 rebounds per 40 minutes. He can post up. He had 23 double-doubles on the year. That was 6th most behind and tied with Ben Simmons and Sean Long of Louisiana Lafayette. He may not be the longest or the most athletic, but he's got really good feet. He is very skilled, and he rebounds his tail off, and he is really, really tough. He loves to play. He does not shy away from contact. He has been really well coached, and he is a great teammate. And in the NCAA tournament, he dominated his individual matchup with Jakob Poeltl of Utah. He had 19 points, 10 rebounds, and held Poeltl to just 5 points and 4 rebounds.
Well, Sabonis going to give you post-up play to go with Vucevic, who's one of the league leaders in mid-range points, and Aaron Gordon, who's a terrific leaper.
So Domantas Sabonis goes with the 11th overall pick to Orlando. He's with Lisa.
Tomas, you're following in your father's big footsteps, but this moment tonight is all about you. What has this journey been like for you tonight?
It's been amazing. Just going through here, working every day hard. I'm just happy I'm here, and I'm happy my family came here to support me. Just an amazing feeling.
Now, with your dad having played in the NBA, there are going to be the comparisons, the expectations. How do you hope to be able to just forge your own path in the NBA?
I'm trying to make my new image. I just use that as motivation. I'm proud of my father. He's the best that ever was, and I look up to him. He's my idol.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Your dad is standing by with our Andy Katz right now.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Arvydas, you entered the NBA at the end of your career. What does it mean to you to see your son enter the NBA now, obviously at the beginning of his career?
It's mean a lot, you know, and I never have chance to be in the draft, you know, and Domas give me chance to be there inside and see what happens.
He told me yesterday that you've given him a lot of advice of how to become a professional. What have you told him?
No, it's a good guy. He knows what he need to do. He have his, his goal, and he's very professional. And I think I wish for him all the best and health, most important.
Congratulations, Arvydas.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Reese.
Andy, and the Hall of Famer Arvydas Sabonis. You see, one of the great players of all time.
I was at courtside when he led his country to the gold medal in '88. And as good as his son may be, Arvydas Sabonis at one point was the #1 prospect in the world. I think he had like 30 and 20 on Ralph Sampson when Sampson was a player of the year in college down in Charlottesville in the exhibition. He was stunning. He could be as good as his dad, even when his dad came in as like a 31-year-old rookie. That would be some way to have it.
And when he came in, he'd already had these injuries, and prior to that, a fantastic player. I have mentioned the first guy to go in. There were other guys who have been drafted whose fathers were in the Hall of Fame already at the time of their draft. We had some more recent ones as well. Domantas Sabonis being the latest one. Sabonis, after setting a Gonzaga record for field goal percentage, now takes his work to Orlando, and now the Utah Jazz are on the clock. They are sitting at number 12, but because of a trade that's been proposed that will be approved, they're making this pick for the Hawks. We'll see who it is in a minute and a half.
We got the Jazz.
Back in Brooklyn, NBA draft rolls on. The Utah Jazz officially on the clock right now, but they are picking for Atlanta. There's a proposed trade not approved by the league yet, but this news broke on Wednesday. The Hawks getting this pick, the 12th of the draft from Utah. Indiana, as part of the three-team trade, would get Jeff Teague to be their point guard, and then Utah would get George Hill to run their offense. So Utah making the pick, likely to go to Atlanta, almost certainly. The pick is in. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 12th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Taurean Prince from Baylor University.
Wow.
So Taurean Prince averaged 16 points per game for Scott Drew's team. A versatile forward. A little taken aback by that. I got a wow from you, Zhelin.
Yes, I'm taken aback, but not surprised. But if you watch the Utah Jazz, they're actually on an arc to be not only a playoff team, but they've acquired so many good young players. They're actually building for depth. So this does make sense from that theory, and I appreciate what they're trying to get accomplished.
And remember, this pick is likely going to Atlanta, though, because of the trade. Yeah, because of the trade with Jeff Teague. Still a proposed trade right now, as you see Taurean Prince from Baylor, senior forward, coming down and making his way to the stage. Assuming he goes to the Hawks, what are they getting there, Jay?
Well, they're getting a guy who's long, athletic, who can really run in transition, and he's a very good three-point shooter. More of a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. Shot about 38% from three for his career. Got a good floater when he puts it on the deck, makes about 49% of those, and he finishes at the rim at a 55% rate, which is not bad. Not really a pick-and-roll player. Shot 4 of 16 out of pick-and-roll situations this last year, but he's got all the physical tools, and I think he plays really hard. I think he can be a good defender because of that length. Baylor played a lot of zone. So there are a lot of people that might not have known, hey, this guy can be a really good defender, but his length, athletic profile, how hard he plays, and the fact he can stretch the floor with the three-point shot really makes him attractive. I had him rated number 30, but this is hardly crazy. I mean, he's got, and then we said the draft started at 9, so we're going to see some different things coming up.
And the Hawks lost Amari Carroll to free agency to the Toronto Raptors, so now they're trying to fill that void.
And didn't Prince also in the NCAA tournament give us a definitive definition of what rebounding was?
Yes, he's a walking thesaurus and dictionary. So he can define rebounding, he can define length, he can define a lot of things. And now he can define a big check.
In case you missed it, they asked why his team was out rebounding. He said because they got more missed shots than we did, or something to that effect. So Taurean Prince apparently on his way to the Hawks. Jeff Goodman joins us now, who's been watching the draft and the moves. It might not be Prince. It's the only one on the move. The guy just taken, Domantas Sabonis, Jeff, from Gonzaga going to Orlando. Is he on the move as well?
Yeah, that's right, Reese. You've got Domantas Sabonis, the 11th pick, along with Victor Oladipo, going to Oklahoma City. And how about Sam Presti trading Serge Ibaka to Orlando? So big trade here. Imagine Sabonis with Steven Adams, two of the hardest playing big guys that I've seen come through in the last few years.
Okay, so Jeff Goodman breaking some trade news. And again, a reminder, all of these trades are proposed. So that would have Serge Ibaka going to Orlando, Sabonis going to Oklahoma City. Michael, what's your reaction to that, assuming that is
well, I told Jalen I thought the Sabonis would be included. Yep. They were selecting him for Oklahoma City. But Jalen brings up a great point with the way Oklahoma City plays. I mean, Adams is a freakish athlete. I mean, he is. I don't know if we describe Sabonis that way. What's interesting here is you look at Oklahoma City and what they have to prepare for in case. I mean, not just right now with Kevin Durant being a free agent, but also with Russell Westbrook next year being a free agent. And Sam Presti, how forward do you look in the future when you go and get Victor Oladipo, a guy who can just give you backcourt play, speaking of positionless, more too, but can give you some one? Are you preparing for the potential departure of Russell Westbrook in any way? I mean, a lot of things you have to wonder about with Oklahoma City given their stars being free agents.
Okay, KD's a four-time scoring champion. Russell Westbrook led the league in triple-doubles. You need somebody that can do both, but also concentrate on defending on a nightly basis. Victor Oladipo will give you that effort.
And what Oklahoma City fans would like is just to keep all of those dudes if they could. If they could keep Westbrook and Durant, now they have Oladipo as well as Sabonis. Okay, we've got the Phoenix Suns on the clock right now. But we want to check in with Andy Katz right now with a piece of news. Andy, what do you have? Andy's got DeMontis with him right now.
All right, thank you, Reese. So, Domas, you have an Orlando Magic hat on, but you've now are part of a proposed trade to the Oklahoma City Thunder, expected to go through, sending Serge Ibaka back to Orlando. What do you think of now heading to Oklahoma City?
I'm just excited. I'm really happy now. I'm just happy I'm here with my family and they're here to support me, and I don't know what to say. I'm just excited to be here.
How do you feel about maybe positioning yourself right next to Steven Adams?
It's awesome. He's a great player, very talented. They're a very good team. I'm just excited to go there now and can't wait to get there.
How soon are you going to get a new hat?
I don't know, whenever I get one.
Thanks, Tomas.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Back to you, Reese.
All right, Andy, good work grabbing Sabonis, who apparently is on his way to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City fans hope to join Kevin Durant, at least for next year, Russell Westbrook and Victor Oladipo. Knockout stage of Euro 2016 is here, and Saturday on ESPN, 3 big matches for you. The Swiss take on Poland at 8:30 Eastern time. Then it's Gareth Bale and Wales against Northern Ireland. And to cap off the day, Croatia, who's had a big draft night, takes on Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo playing in that one at 2:30. All matches also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. That is UEFA Euro 2016. Suns have been active tonight. They make another draft pick on the clock. We'll have that one coming up for you in a matter of seconds to recap in case you happen to just be joining us. Suns had the 4th overall pick. They took Dragan Bender from Croatia with number 4, passing on Marquise Chris. Marquise Chris was drafted by the Kings with the 8th pick, but the news we have is that pick is on its way to Phoenix, meaning Bender and Chris would be playing for the Phoenix Suns. And now the Suns, who started the night with 3 draft picks, make the second one that they had to start the night. Here is the proposed trade, yet to be approved by the league. Suns would receive the rights to Marquise Chris, the 8th overall pick. The Kings would get a couple of those first-round picks, including the one that's on the clock right now, and a 2020 pitch, as well as Bogdan Bogdanovic sitting there as part of the trade as well. So now the Suns are on the clock, presumably picking for the Kings right now as we try to keep all of this in order. Kings don't have a pick yet. Who should they go after?
The Kings need a lead guard. Rajon Rondo was their point guard last year. He led the league in assists. Darren Collison is dealing with some off-court issues right now, so that's the position I think they'll look to.
I'm thinking the same thing, Jalen. Does that mean Wade Baldwin? Does that mean one of the higher guys?
Yes.
In the big board, most people big boards, certainly Jays will come off the board now and go to Sacramento?
I think so. I really do. He's an underrated prospect, has really long arms. I think he'd be a really good player.
So the pick is in now for the Suns for the proposed trade, picking for the Kings. Here is the commissioner, Adam Silver. Wingspan.
With the 13th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Yorgos Papagiannis from Megara, Greece. He last played for Panathinaikos in Greece.
And playing for Panathinaikos, he averaged a little over 6 points per game, shot 68% from the floor. So, Franny, we believe the Kings are getting him. What are they getting in this big fella?
They're getting a huge, young low post player who can score from the outside as well. Very successful at the junior level. In fact, very good against the United States in the Under-19 World Championships last year. This young man actually spent his junior year at Westtown High School in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and he considers himself a Philadelphia guy. I asked him, gyros or cheesesteaks? And he said gyros, and his favorite movie, of course, Creed. And he watched it 5 times, he told me today. But a huge kid, lots of potential. He's a low post banger, and he's gonna play for a guy as the GM in Vlade Divac, who knows something about playing in the low post. This is a pick for the future, and he's gonna team with DeMarcus Cousins and a young team trying to be building in Sacramento.
Proposed trade. You see the Suns logo behind Franny and the Suns hat that will go on the head of Yorgos Papagiannis, but on his way to Sacramento. And he is the 13th pick in the draft, and the Chicago Bulls have the last pick of the lottery. Chicago is going to be making a pick in 4.5 minutes in this draft. Time now for our State Farm Exist to Assist, and this year to help demonstrate the power of the assist off the court, State Farm, NBA Cares, and the Chris Paul Family Foundation have teamed up to help the communities throughout the country. Earlier this week, the Educational Alliance Boys and Girls Club unveiled a state-of-the-art mobile teen learning center for the kids. Some of those kids you probably had a chance to see up in the stands here enjoying the 2016 NBA Draft. Look out for some more community assists to help life go right on in 2016 and beyond. So the Chicago Bulls are on the clock. They're making the 14th pick, didn't make the playoffs. Last pick of the lottery. Bulls, of course, going to look completely different after making the huge trade which sent Derrick Rose to the New York Knicks. Knicks getting Derrick Rose, Justin Holiday, and a second rounder next year. The Bulls in return getting Robin Lopez, Jaren Grant, and Jose Calderon. So what do the Bulls need to do here, Mike?
Well, I mean, Deontay Davis from Michigan State, the big man, makes some sense because Noah and Gasol are free agents. Yet, the Bulls don't have a point guard right now. And so Wade Baldwin may make some sense in that situation. You still have some flexibility. You could go back after Gasol if you select Wade Davis because they acquired Jose Calderon, who is still presumably close, you know, with Pau Gasol, his teammate over a lot of summers internationally. And, you know, so they've got some options there. I've heard that they like Davis, but again, if a point guard is a guy that you're going to select and make him your own, and get him accustomed to your system and you're comfortable with him, it seems like Baldwin makes as much sense.
And all of the guys you mentioned were all-stars recently in Noah, Gasol, and Rose. But in losing Rose, to me, that leaves a bigger void because I think they have a lot of depth up front. I go Wade Baldwin with this pick if I'm Chicago.
You know, if you're looking for a point guard, don't forget Denzel Valentine can do that for them as well. He's not quite the athlete, doesn't have the length, and he's not as young as Wade Baldwin. But Valentine knows how to play. And a few years ago, we were talking about Draymond Green knowing how to play. Maybe he's not the best athlete, all that stuff. He turned out to be pretty darn good.
That's worked out okay for Golden State. There is Denzel Valentine. Is he about to hear his name called by the Chicago Bulls? The pick is in now. Adam Silver will tell us the Fighting Fred Hoibergs will do now.
With the 14th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Denzel Valentine from Michigan State University.
You want a guy who will bring a smile to the fans, an electric guy, hard-working guy, much like Buddy Hield when we said earlier that improved each and every year while he was at Michigan State. Here is Denzel Valentine, the AP National Player of the Year, averaged 19 points, nearly 8 assists, better than 7 rebounds. In some quarters, we read all the reports, there have been some concern about Denzel's knees. Obviously, the Bulls not concerned about them. Why does Denzel Valentine fit in this team now in the post-Derrick Rose era?
Because he's a terrific all-around player that knows how to play. And, you know, I heard the thing about the knees. I'm not crazy about all this medical stuff being discussed unless it's for real. But say he's got Brandon Roy's knees. Right, Brandon Roy had 7 great years in the league. If you get 7 great years out of Denzel Valentine, I don't care what his knees look like. He's excellent in pick and roll. The guy averaged over 19 points, close to 8 rebounds, close to 8 assists. He's the only player to have those kind of numbers since assists has been kept. And he's got a quick release on his shot. He came into Michigan State as a non-shooter, and now he's a very good perimeter shooter, shooting 45% from 3. He struggled to defend at times on the perimeter, but he's one of those guys that plays angles and figures it out. Denzel Valentine is going to figure out a way to be a really effective and outstanding player in the NBA. And I really do believe, guys, knowing how to play is a big deal. He's a great kid. He is a great leader. And I think he's going to go a long way in the league.
You're going to love this one, Will Bond. You say somebody know how to play? How about this? Michael Ray Richardson. That's right, a guy that can get you points, rebounds, and assists at 6'5". Denzel Valentine's really going to fit in Chicago, getting Jimmy Butler open shots, creating for other teammates, the way Michael Ray Richardson did back in the day.
I do love this pick, Zhelin. Look, what the Bulls have done really well, even when drafting at the end of the round, is draft.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler, Mirotic, McDermott last year, they have drafted really well for a number of years, even when making the playoffs.
So Denzel Valentine going to the Bulls, and Denzel is with Lisa Salt.
Denzel, take a look at the monitor. This was your reaction when you were drafted, and it was one of the best reactions of the night so far.
Oh, I guess it.
Just tell me what you were feeling when it all went down.
Ooh, I was getting nervous there, just, pick after pick, and you're just kind of sitting there wondering. And, I'm just so glad I'm going to the Bulls, and I'm going to give them my all, and I'm just glad to get this process going.
Now, there were concerns about your knees because of the scope you had on your left knee this season, and you were telling me yesterday you had surgery on your right knee in high school. What did you say to the Bulls to reassure them that you're ready to go?
I mean, I've only missed 4 games in college and, a number of practices. I'm healthy now. I'm healthy now, and that's all I can say to them. And so they felt like I was ready, so I guess they picked me, and I'm just happy to be with the Bulls now.
Glad the wait is over, right?
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Lisa, in the span of a couple of days, the Bulls might have lost their Rose, but they get a Valentine. Denzel Valentine now going to Chicago. Nuggets back on the clock. Lottery's over. Denver makes a pick. Welcome back to the NBA Draft 2016, presented by State Farm. Just wrapped up the lottery. The Denver Nuggets are on the clock. Nuggets already picked earlier tonight, taking Jamal Murray from Kentucky. So now that we're out of the lottery, doesn't mean you can't find really good players. Some first-round non-lottery gems include Eric Bledsoe and Avery Bradley, the 19th overall pick to Boston. Kawhi Leonard, selected by Indiana, has gone on to be a great player for the Spurs. Jimmy Butler, 5 years ago tonight, was the last pick in the first round by the Bulls. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 15th overall, is becoming a star for Milwaukee. And now the Nuggets have an opportunity to add to their young talent, already getting Jamal Murray tonight. So where do you see them going? What would the Nuggets need to do right now with Murray in the fold and the young players they already have?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, Ellenson, Deontay Davis, Wade Baldwin are up next on the best available list, and then there are a number of European players. So I wouldn't be surprised. We expect, I think Fran Fraschilla said he expected about 8 European players to go. So I would not be surprised if this is when it starts, kind of the middle of the first round, out of the lottery. Call it draft and stash, whatever you want. Maybe some of these guys are ready to come over now, but there are going to be a number of Euros that are going to go over the next 15 picks.
See which direction Denver tries to go right now, Mike.
It doesn't figure Denver's going to try to bring 3 rookies into camp.
Correct.
So if there's going to be a draft and stash, as Jay says, you would expect it to start right about here.
Yeah, they already set a record, or led the league, I should say, last year in rookie starts. So they already have a young team, the big core, either rookies or first-year players. You assume that Murray's going to move into that role, and you'll see what the Nuggets do now. So is there anybody that you're surprised that hasn't gone yet? Who's the biggest surprise
I'm looking at probably Baldwin at this point. I know it's probably that he's a sleeper.
Wade Baldwin from Vanderbilt.
Absolutely. I think that's the guy that probably should be going here soon.
Okay, so the Nuggets getting this pick as a result of the trade with the Rockets that involved Ty Lawson. So the Nuggets making this pick right now is commissioner.
With the 15th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Juan Hernan Gomez from Madrid, Spain. He last played for Estudiantes in Spain.
Well, Billis is on fire with the predictions tonight. International player Juan Hernan Gomez going.
I didn't say who, I just said international. You can't give me credit for that.
Well, I try. I do my best to take care of you, but Fran Fraschilla, you've said that Hernan Gomez might be the most ready guy from overseas now.
Exactly right, Reese. This kid's 20 years old, almost 21, 6'9". He's your classic stretch four man. Outstanding shooter, pretty good athlete, and again, you average double figures in the ACB, and you're 20 years old, you're in select company. I love this kid because he's tough as well, and a basketball family. Dad was a player, his older brother Willie drafted by the Sixers last year, and best of all, in the family, the mom might be the best player. She was a member of the Women's Olympic team in 1992. I do think he can help the Nuggets right now. Don't think he's draft and stash because of the experience in the ACB. And I got to tell you, a terrific mentor would be Danilo Gallinari, who plays a similar game. And remember, Denver does, to this point, a really good job with international guys.
A number of international guys on that roster right now, and Fran mentioned Juan Hernan Gomez's brother Willie, buddies with Kristaps Porzingis, and the Knicks have his rights. Perhaps both brothers will come over in the not-too-distant future and play in the NBA. Juan Hernan Gomez picked 15th overall, and you just heard Fran say expected to come over to the Nuggets soon. And now Boston is back on the clock right now with the 16th overall pick. The Celtics active in the draft, 3 first-round picks, entertaining all kinds of trade offers right now. So the Celtics haven't necessarily made all of the moves that were expected just yet, as Tom Penn joins us right now. So Tom, how do you see Boston's strategy right now as they navigate their way through so many of these draft picks, 8 of them in all going through the second round tonight?
Yeah, right now it's draft, 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 draft. Look at this. They took Jaylen Brown. Now they go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is all tonight, and then there's more next year. Add that to what else Danny Ainge has to work with. Most of these players are under contract. Smart, Olynyk, Zeller's restricted, Jonas Jerebko, all good players. That's not the question, though. Is anybody NBA great? Is anybody go after LeBron and get past him in the East? Thomas is their best player as an all-star, but he's overachieved, I think. They do have this $35 million in cap space to play with. Danny Ainge could get greatness going after the cap space, right? That may come front and center in this whole building of the team. But until it does, he's going to have to talk about these bold deals. Is Jaylen Brown interesting enough to make that team better? Can they get anybody interesting enough with the rest of these picks to make that team big time better? That's the challenge for Danny Ainge. It's been the plan all along. They got to find bona fide greatness to go with this plethora of goodness.
And sometimes in the NBA, that is the most frustrating place to be. Now, the Celtics haven't been there long enough to be that frustrated. It'll come soon. How will they be able to get from goodness to greatness as you look at this Celtics-Mavericks trade recap that brings us to this point right now where the Celtics have this 16th pick? What type of player do they need? Some ideas of what Boston needs to do to get great.
They need someone on the interior that can create some balance. Isaiah Thomas became an all-star. They took Jaylen Brown, who's going to be able to play 3 positions on the perimeter. Avery Bradley can also guard a couple of positions and is a 3-point shooter. But they need an anchor down low, somebody can throw the basketball inside to and create some offense and give them some physicality.
They need somebody they probably can't find in the draft, which is what Tom Penn's talking about.
Yeah,
to get greatness, to get that star right now. And again, you're close enough. You're just trying to bridge the difference between yourself and the Cavaliers. You're not doing what Orlando's doing. You're not doing what some of the other teams Denver's doing. So the question is Danny Ainge still trying to package? Is he still, I mean, would you imagine Jay is still on the phone right now trying to dredge up some interest in something that he wants more for now, more so than the future?
I would think that's always a possibility, but I thought Boston also needed some shooting. And when I was looking at the best available, like shooters, Malachi Richardson of Syracuse is too high to take him. or Malik Beasley of Florida State. Is this too high to take him? Ben Bentel of Providence is a stretch 4. I don't know. I think that would be too high. It's a tough one. Yeah, like once you get past this level in the draft, you're looking for guys that have an NBA skill. And I'm not sure where they go here.
Okay, Michael, with a minute left for Boston to make this pick, they need to find somebody in the league. They've got good players. Tom Penn used the word overachieve. Do they have enough intriguing parts to entice somebody into a trade to get somebody like that?
Yes, I think so. Danny Ainge clearly thinks so. Yep. He thought he had that. I mean, you know, the pursuit of Jimmy Butler, which we've talked a little bit about all week, that's the kind of difference. You're talking about a guy who's a solid number 2 player on a roster. So if you're not going to find a great free agent, we're not talking about a Kevin Durant level. We're talking about just a step lower, an all-star, 2-time all-star. Where can you get that player? Who's ready to let go of that guy? Either because they're disappointed. We talked about Sacramento and Boogie Cousins. You know, there was talk, some talk about Boston and Boogie Cousins at the trade deadline. Where are you going to find that player to make up the difference between where you are at 48 wins and trying to get to 56 or 58 and deeper in the playoffs?
I think Boston's at a tough spot of acquiring a player that can play at an all-star level versus the picks. That leads to the old term that picks don't play. It's great to have them, but can you parlay them? It seems like they're struggling to this point to actually do so.
As part of the trade, we mentioned it earlier, Boston and Tom Penn alluded to that they're going to have more picks coming in. They are likely going to be picking high in the draft, not to bury the Brooklyn Nets already since we're in their home.
You want me to do it?
No, okay, I'll go ahead and bury them then. They're likely going to be in the lottery, and Boston has the option of switching first-round picks with them next year. So next year's going to be a strong draft, but Boston doesn't want to wait till next year, trying to find the guy that can help them here. You know, I read a great article today in the Boston Globe about Danny Ainge trying to channel his inner Red Auerbach, who was a master of the draft. I'm not sure that even with all these picks, Michael, that he could match that 1956 draft when Red came up with Tom Heinsohn and Bill Russell and Casey Jones.
Well, how about when you get Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale
That's right.
at the same time? And this is Red Auerbach. That's the history of the Celtics. And you know Danny's trying to do that. The problem is there are not as many pigeons anymore. Red Auerbach knew who he was going to pick on. He targeted somebody. He knew that franchise wasn't as strong and wasn't as smart, and he went after him, and he got who he wanted. It's much more difficult to do that in today's NBA.
It is. It's a difficult role to try to build a quality team to the draft. Now they've done that. They've become a playoff team. Now can they go next level? They put an all-star next to Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas was the last player taken in the draft 5 years ago tonight, and it's turned himself into an all-star. Celtics, as we've mentioned tonight, with 8 picks in this draft. That's the most in a single draft since 1989, which was the first year that the draft went to only 2 rounds. So the Celtics have been able to accumulate assets. And you guys have said it several times, they're not going to take everybody they draft and add them to this roster and have them start playing next year. The key is getting the right pieces for next year and then putting themselves in position for years to come. And this is the level of the draft where they start trying to do that and determine which way to go.
And that graphic just highlighted it, because the Oklahoma City Thunder had 6, but 2 of them were Kevin Durant and also Russell Westbrook, who are still on their roster. The other teams didn't make the playoffs this year. So for the Boston Celtics, who did make the playoffs, can they take that next step?
The Celtics been able to accomplish as much as you thought they might when we started the evening in terms of making moves?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I keep saying yet. I mean, we got a pick coming in, but the evening's not over yet.
No, it's
and
not.
There's still a lot of picks to go for the Celtics.
The 16th pick belongs to the Celtics. Let's see what Danny Ainge does. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 16th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Gershon Yabusele from Zhou, France. He last played for Rouen in France.
Gershon Yabusele sitting in the stands here in Brooklyn. And the celebration is on. So, Fran Fraschilla, what about Yabusele?
You know, Reese, we used to call guys like this tweeners, but now we call them a small ball 4-man. And everybody's looking for that next Draymond Green. 6'8", 240 pounds. He's a load. He's like a Larry Johnson type body inside, but he also shoots 43% from behind the arc. He can block it, he can dunk it, and this is what he does that the Celtics like. He can stretch the defense. Played at a good level. Think about Pro A in France and all the French players in the NBA. French basketball translates, and this is a 20-year-old small ball four-man. Nice pick by Boston.
Is it a nice pick for right now, Fran?
I think he can help them. Reese, he is 20, but he's got experience. I do think he can help them, especially because what does Boston need? Outside shooting. So there's a chance he could stick on this roster. Those picks. We'll let Danny Ainge figure that out.
And as Wilbon warned us, Ainge might not be finished. This guy, he's a new member of the Gershon Yabusele fan club. Celtic fans in the house. Best available, still sitting out there, Villain.
They've been sitting there a little while. Henry Ellenson of Marquette, a freshman. Another freshman, Deontay Davis, a rim-protecting, shot-blocker, offensive rebounder. Vanderbilt's Wade Baldwin. Scal Labissiere of Kentucky is still there before we get to some more Europeans.
Best available out there. Memphis on the clock. Pick number 17. After we're done here at the Barclays Center with the draft, stick around. Sports Center at 9. Butchergross and Anderson very friendly with one another. They'll have a full breakdown of the draft, all the baseball highlights. Texas Tech and the Chanticleers playing in the College World Series. They're from Coastal Carolina. Everything you need. Sports Center at 9. Up next on ESPN. You can always catch it on the Watch ESPN or the ESPN app. Memphis Grizzlies use just about everybody ever to put on sneakers to play. An NBA record, 28 different players made appearances. Jalen Rose played 2 games for the Grizzlies this past season.
Keep getting them checked.
6 straight playoff appearances, though, despite all of the roster and injury problems. That's the franchise record before they were swept out by San Antonio in the first round. They have a new head coach. David Fizdale was hired as head coach May 26th. Fizdale coming from Miami, where he's been part of the staff there. Dave Yeager fired on May 7th. Yeager, of course, moving on to Sacramento. So now you have Memphis sitting on the clock. They have the 17th overall pick and a minute or so to make it, and we'll see what the Grizzlies are able to do. This is a team that has Mike Conley Jr. as an unrestricted free agent, and they're hoping to be able to keep him in the fold.
Wade Baldwin, possible combination guard, as you see him right there on camera. And you don't know what's going to happen with Zach Randolph, who was a double-double player. If they're going to lose him, then it may be interesting to see if they go with Henry Ellenson at this spot.
Henry Ellenson's a guy that you've been looking for. And it's Deontay Davis from Michigan State, who set a Michigan State record for block shots as a freshman. Offense still has a way to go, but he's a springy, explosive athlete.
And they were a team that beat you with toughness, so Davis will fit there as well. Explosive athlete.
All right, so the pick is in right now for the Grizzlies. Who will it be? Memphis going 17th overall. The commissioner, Adam Silver, with Memphis decision.
With the 17th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Wade Baldwin IV from Vanderbilt University.
So you guys have mentioned Wade Baldwin several times. Averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists for Kevin Stallings' team at Vanderbilt before Stallings moved on to be the head coach at Pittsburgh. Baldwin, an explosive guy, and I've told you 100 times that Wade Baldwin can play the game, and he'll get an opportunity with Memphis now, Jay.
Well, you talk about a guy that is long. He's 6'4", but his wingspan is over 6'11".
Drink up.
Drink up, baby. Tip it back. So he's got a nice outside shot. He needs to get off a little quicker, but he's been an efficient three-point shooter. He shot over 42% from 3 for his career at Vanderbilt. You know, he didn't shoot a ton of threes out to NBA range, but I think he showed that ability. Not a great finisher around the rim. He only converted about 39% of the time, but crafty around the rim. And his defensive potential is really good because of his athleticism, the fact that he plays really hard, and his length. He's going to be able to guard 1s and 2s in the NBA. So size, length, athleticism. The questions about him are, what kind of leader is he? You know, he had some issues with the coaching staff. Were they on the coaching staff? Were they on him? You know, how's that going to work? But by all accounts, I've been told he's a really good kid, and he works hard, and he wants to get better. But he's got all the tools to be a really good prospect, really good player in the NBA.
And speaking of the NBA, his comp still plays in that league. Reggie Jackson of the Detroit Pistons. Another guy that's 6'3", and Jay's favorite word, wingspan. Here's a 7 foot, okay? The ability to get his own shot off the dribble, attack and finish at the hoop, be more of a lead guard than a traditional point guard.
So Wade Baldwin stays in the state of Tennessee, played his college ball in Nashville. Will go across the state to Memphis. He is with Lisa Salm.
Wade, you were telling us yesterday that you thought that some people were doubting your athleticism. How come?
You know, I think that, you know, that what they saw in, you know, college, they might have doubted it. You know, at the combine, I had 38-inch vertical. Going through these team workouts, I was just trying to, you know, excel and finishing athletically at the rim.
Yeah, you said that everything, you were dunking everything. How do you think you did during those workouts?
Very well. I think I put myself in a good position to, you know, be picked 17th by a wonderful organization.
Congratulations to you. Reese. Congratulations.
All right, Lisa, mom's reaction, a proud night for the Baldwin family as Monica is celebrating her son going to the Memphis Grizzlies. Jay Williams is with us now. So, Jay, I know this is the guy you kept a close eye on for a while.
Well, RD, we went to the same high school in St. Joseph Metuchen in New Jersey. He actually played with Karl Anthony Towns, and he does have the height. He's very good actually playing off the ball as well. We're going to see here in his breakdown tape, he's here in the corner, and watch how he moves without the basketball right here. As he moves without the ball, he gets in this spot right here. Now, one of the things he can work on, everybody has something to work on in the draft, okay, no matter how good you are, even Ben Simmons. You have 3 defenders here, all guard him. Now, you have a guy wide open in the corner for a wide kick-out 3. Now, due to his size and his height, he's still able to elevate over the top, still makes the jump shot, but sometimes making the easy pass can help. Once again, next transition, you're going to see a ball screen. He drags the ball screen out, which I have to do in the next level. Now, he's going here against Ron Baker. Now, Ron Baker is one of the top perimeter defenders in the nation for college basketball. And what I like about what Wade does here, when he gets to the rim, a lot of players try to bring the ball back to his right hand into the defender, but not Wade Baldwin. He has good versatility. He's able to get the ball high off the glass with his left hand. We've seen a lot of players in the league, smaller guards, able to make those type of plays. I think, and plus you can learn underneath a guy like Mike Conley. Wade Baldwin's going to be in good company with the Memphis Grizzlies.
And so Wade Baldwin of Vanderbilt going to Memphis. That puts Detroit on the clock with the 18th overall pick, and the Pistons haven't wasted any time. They've made their selection with the 18th overall pick for Stan Van Gundy, who's not only the head coach but president of basketball operations. Here's Adam Silver.
Detroit basketball.
With the 18th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Henry Ellenson from Marquette University.
Ellenson, another freshman selected. He was Big East Freshman of the Year, first team all-conference. He set a Marquette record for scoring and rebounds by a freshman, a one-and-done guy. How does he fit in with Detroit? You've been touting him for a while, Jay.
I have. He's a face-up scorer, which means he's going to be compatible with Andre Drummond. He can also rebound the basketball. I really like this. It makes them bigger up front, 6'11", 240 pounds. Detroit made the playoffs this year. Unfortunately, they were swept by the world champions. Stan Van Gundy continues to improve not only with the product we see on the floor, but the roster tonight at the draft.
Henry Ellenson going to Detroit. Now, I don't know if will he really have to rebound. Doesn't Andre Drummond get all of the rebounds?
You hope he does, but he didn't get them all against Cleveland.
Fair point. Average 15, nearly 15 rebounds per game. Led the league, and now Henry Ellenson, a talented young guy, played 1 year of college basketball, greets Adam Silver as he's on his way to his pro journey.
Yeah, this pick made by Jeff Bauer still floating after being inducted into the Blair County Hall of Fame in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Henry Ellison, 6'11". He's got a wingspan of over 7'2". He's very, very skilled.
Wingspan.
He can put the ball on the floor and drive it. Almost 3/4 of his shots were attempted around the rim. But he's got a nice hook shot, get to the line. He doesn't shoot all that great of a percentage from distance, but his stroke is really good. His shooting form and his shooting stroke are ahead of his percentages right now, but I think he's going to be able to stretch out that range and become a really good pick and pop big guy. You guys mentioned he can really rebound. He works his tail off.
Size, points in the paint, the ability to face up. How about this guy, Troy Murphy? He was 6'11". He averaged a double-double 5 times in the NBA. Played 12 seasons and made $66 million actually doing it. So I really like this comp, and I really like this pick by the Detroit Pistons.
I just ran into Coach Cal down there. He's a little worried about one of his big men, the rim protector, Cal of his He's wondering when he's going to go. You don't see Cal nervous off because his guys go so early in the first.
Yeah, he's usually gone by now.
Cal Labissiere, also Tyler Eulis, talked to Cal earlier today. He was concerned about him. Henry Ellison has no more worries. He is a member of the Pistons, and he gets to talk with Lisa Salt.
Henry, you come from a basketball family. Everybody in your family has played basketball in college. Your sister's gonna be playing basketball in college. Your father played as a pro overseas. Just what is this moment like for your entire family?
You know, this means a lot to me and my family. This is something they know I've worked hard for, and I wouldn't be here without their support. And no, family is the most important thing to me in my life, and so it's great that I can share this with them.
And they're all here. Congratulations that you get to share it with them.
Yeah, thank you.
Reese.
Well, Lisa, Henry's had basketball in his blood for a while. 4 days after he was born, his mom took him to her game. She was a high school coach. Nuggets are back on the clock right now with their 3rd pick of the 1st round, 19th overall. They've already taken Jamal Murray from Kentucky and Juan Hernan-Gomez. Nuggets are on the clock for the 3rd time tonight, one of 4 teams with 3 draft picks in the 1st round. Denver picked one of the guards selected tonight, Jamal Murray. Another one, Chris Dunn, went to the Timberwolves, where he'll play with Karl Anthony Towns. Follow that logic and find KAT with Andy Katz.
All right, thank you, Reese. Yes, I'm with the NBA Rookie of the Year, Karl Anthony Towns. And so now the Timberwolves add Chris Dunn of Providence. What's your reaction to getting an experienced college guard like that?
Definitely someone that Coach Thibodeau loves. You know, someone who plays great, tenacious defense, has the ability to score, and he gives us another option, especially on offense and defense. Somewhere we struggled with a little last year. With him as an addition to our team, I think that we definitely can make strides into the direction that we want to.
Now, when Wade Baldwin was selected, I saw you jump literally out of your seat. You are related to him through marriage, and you've known him since 1st grade. What do you think about Wade Baldwin now entering the NBA?
Words can't describe how proud I am of my cousin. You know, he's been working so hard for this moment. He's always told me that I'm going to make it first, and he'll be the second one right behind me following. And he's kept true to his word. Tonight, he did exactly what he said he was going to do, and he's going to a great team, the Memphis Grizzlies, where I really feel he's going to excel really well. And having a 6'3", 6'11" wingspan, come on, you can't ask for a better combination for a guard.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Back to you, Reese.
Hey, what does Karl Anthony Towns saying wingspan for, man? Stay in your lane.
Let me tell you something, brother. Karl Anthony Towns is going to have a long, successful career in the NBA, but once it's over, this is going to be his lane. I mean, that dude is entertaining and sharp, and he's a terrific player, too. The Denver Nuggets are making their 3rd pick, or about to. The pick is in. Adam Silver about to announce who's on their way to the Rocky Mountains to join Hernan-Gomez and Jamal Murray.
With the 19th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Malik Beasley from Florida State University.
Malik Beasley averaged a little over 15 per game for the Seminoles this past year, the 3rd player selected by the Nuggets tonight. One of the things that we all had on the draft needs for the Nuggets. Find a way to spread the floor out a little bit for Moutier and for the big guys they have inside. So they get Murray. Now they get Malik Beasley making the moves with his family as he makes his way to the stage. Nuggets, you don't know how it's all going to play out or if everybody's keeping all the picks. I think Nuggets have had a pretty good night so far.
And I was drafted by the Nuggets, and I understand how taking advantage of the altitude is something that the team has historically tried to do. So the more athletes that can change ends of the floor, play multiple positions, fit right in to the dynamic of what they hope to try to get accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, they took one international, but they got two guys, and he may not be a drafted stash, but they got two guys that have to figure to be in their rotation, Jay.
This is a kid, Malik Beasley, that has got NBA range right now. He shot 50% adjusted field goal percentage on all jump shots. This kid can shoot it. And we mentioned the NBA range. He's an athlete that can run, and he's really, really good in transition. And he shoots threes in transition. Not bad in pick and roll, but not his strength, and he needs to improve as a defender. I think he can get more steals. His defensive rating was low, but he's got a solid frame and good athleticism. So excellent shooter, really good teammate, really good kid, and really works hard. I like this pick for Denver. Malik Beasley's got a terrific future ahead of him. He's young, and he is ready to roll.
Denver was the 6th worst three-point shooting team in the NBA last year. They have addressed those concerns tonight. Malik Beasley's mother, Dina, love it. Model, actress. In fact, both parents are actors. Grandfather, an actor. I don't think Malik will have to act. It'll be genuine joy you see. He's with Lisa Salter.
Now, Malik, you're just coming back from surgery. You had a stress fracture in your right leg. Yeah. Tell me, how do you think that affected you in this draft, if at all?
It hurt a little bit because I couldn't go against other guards, compete against other people, but thank you for Denver for giving me the opportunity. Interviews were great, and I'm glad to be here.
How's the rehab going?
It's going well. Getting better and better each day. Time to get back on the court.
All right. Season start in just a few months. Congratulations. Reese.
All right, Lisa, I mentioned that Malik his parents and grandfather's an actor. He was in some commercials as a kid, including one for Tyler Perry's Diary of a Mad Black Woman when he was a kid, and also one for Delta as well. We now have the Indiana Pacers on the clock, but they're making the pick for the home team in this building, the Brooklyn Nets. Trade that was pulled off today, a proposed trade to get the vernacular just right. Thaddeus Young will go from Brooklyn to Indiana. In exchange, the Nets get a first-round pick and a future second-rounder. Tom Penn now, what about Brooklyn right now as they try to put something together? A steep drop-off last year, and now Indiana comes in. They've been making a couple of moves leading up to the draft.
Yeah, do not sleep on what's going on in Indiana. They've gotten a lot better, and here's how. They traded Jeff Teague for George Hill, so they get Teague as a finisher. Then they've hit the lottery. Last year they hit the late lottery with Turner, right? He has been a stud for them, so that gives them a hedge. They trade for Thaddeus Young and give up this pick. So it's a totally different look for this Indiana team. And Nate McMillan loves finishers, and he's got a few of them now. Jeff Teague, an outstanding finisher. Isolation, give him the ball. They still got Monte Ellis out there as his backcourt mate. Who's guarding him necessarily down the stretch? And then don't forget about an MVP candidate in Paul George. You put those three things together, they are a ton better in Indiana for Nate McMillan. And welcome back, Nate. You're now loaded with horses. You guys are a threat in the East. You don't need the 20th pick. They need it here in Brooklyn. Big moves in Indiana. I really like it.
All right, Tom, Michael, what do you think of the moves that Indiana's made? Are they a threat in the East now with the moves they've made?
Yeah, they've helped Paul George tremendously, and that's what you see they needed. I mean, they're not a finished project yet. I don't think anybody's going to run out and talk about them beating Cleveland right away. But with what they've got now in support of Paul George, I mean, I think they've taken a step in the right direction. They didn't have to wait on the draft.
And the game is positionless right now. Thaddeus Young, an undersized 4, really plays effective, getting rebounds, defending, as well as running the floor. And Larry Bird talked about wanting to play faster, changing ends of the floor. Teague really allows you to do that, and he's a hometown kid.
I'm still impressed that Malik Beasley was wearing Jalen Rose's draft suit. That was awesome. That was like a throwback Thursday. Wearing that
I wish I could tire Windsor not. I used to be able to.
Absolutely beautiful.
I got to step it up.
You were so far ahead of your time. Ridiculous.
You were on SportsCenter earlier today breaking down the fashion statements. It wasn't just the red suit that you're famous for. You had a bunch of fallback plans.
I did. In case I went to the Sonics, you'd appreciate this one. I had a lime green suit with green gaiters that I wore to my draft party.
The green gaiters, you must still have those. I want to see those.
I do.
Put those up for auction.
All right, the Pacers are going to make this pick. This is the pick that's going here to Brooklyn as a result of the Thaddeus Young trade. Commissioner Silver going to step to the microphone now and tell us what the Pacers for the Nets are doing.
Nap time.
With the 20th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Indiana Pacers select Karis LeVert from the University of Michigan.
Karis LeVert, who spent much of the last 2 seasons injured. He's had 3 surgeries in less than 2 years on a foot. His most recent one came in March at the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, and they believe that perhaps the problems with his foot that kept him out of so many games when he was playing for Michigan might now be taken care of. You see he's rocking the maize and blue.
Yes, indeed.
Maize and blue jacket.
Representing tonight, Jalen.
So here's Karis LeVert, if healthy, Jay, dangerous player.
Well, the first thing on my scouting report is lottery talent, but he's had 2 foot surgeries. That was the only thing that was pushing him into the second round for me. He's long-armed. He's got a 6'10" wingspan. He has athletic. He is very skilled. Yeah, he's taken in the first round, but he's always been a first-round talent. 3-point range, an excellent spot-up shooter. Only shoots about 25% on pull-up jumpers, but he's very efficient. It's just the multiple injuries that gave you some concern. But Karis LeVert can get by people. He's crafty. And talk about another great kid. And we've got a number of really good guys. And, man, what Jalen, you should have worn that suit. I just got a glimpse of that. I had no idea he was wearing that.
I didn't have a stylist, and I clearly didn't have a budget watching some of what these guys are wearing.
My God, Harbaugh should get that one.
But Larry Bird, you saw Glenn Robinson III have success in Indiana. Karis LeVert, when he was healthy, basically led Michigan in all statistical categories. And I agree with you, a lottery talent that got injured. I'm happy to see a really nice player, but a better young man you drafted number 20 overall.
All right, so Karis LeVert drafted by Indiana, but on his way to Brooklyn once that trade moves from the proposed trade to an official trade. Hawks on the clock, a little over 4 minutes to go. Best available here, Billis?
Well, the best available is how long they've been available. That's becoming a problem. Guys have been sitting there a while, and that can't be a good feeling. Deontay Davis, shot blocker, rebounder. Skal Labissiere underperformed at Kentucky, but he was one of the top players in the ESPN 100. And that ESPN 100 from last year is playing out pretty well in this draft.
Maybe a value pick coming. Hawks on the clock.
Patience and determination. Staring at a patty and talking about a revolution. No, this is not a game. There it is. Wait.
The Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. Hawks have already been active. Of course, they were part of the 3-team trade that sent Jeff Teague eventually to Indiana. Skal Labissiere from Kentucky, yet to be drafted, still sitting and waiting to see if he'll hear his name called. Deontay Davis sitting there with Tom Izzo, also hoping to hear his name called, getting some counsel after the terrific defensive freshman season he had. There's Deontay Davis there for waiting his name to be called after his season at Michigan State. The Hawks are on the clock right now. So, Jay, I'll start with you. In terms of this draft right now, what are your thoughts? What do you think of what's happened up to this point? Big surprises to you?
Yeah, there have been some surprises. I mean, because of injuries, I thought Karis LeVert would go lower, but that's where his talent suggested he should go. I'm surprised that Deontay Davis is still sitting in the green room because of his ability to block shots, his ability to offensive rebound and rebound overall and run the floor. Yeah, he was rated really high by our ESPN analytics. My eyes told me the same thing. So my sense is he should go pretty soon. That's where his value is.
Jaylen Brown going that early to the Celtics was certainly a surprise. You could hear a little murmur throughout the building when the Celtics took him. And then Thon Maker. I mean, you know, he was all over the place. I mean, Jay had this pegged early on and stayed with it. But then you start getting the reports yesterday about age and what a difference. NBA people seem so scared off now. 24, oh my God, is he going to live long enough? You know, he's so old, we might not be able to get our money's worth out of him. I'm not quite sure when this has started, when age is such a detriment to your draft position, but it appears to be. But those two surprises have been there. But I think everything else is pretty much gone the way we expected it.
You know, we expected
within the range. And Deontay Davis, yeah.
You know, we knew coming into the draft that this would have a certain international flavor to it. Players, perhaps up to 22, 23 players with some type of international background would have their names called. So far through 20 picks, half of the players selected have international backgrounds, 5 of them pure international players. The pick is now in for the Hawks, 21st overall. Here's the commish.
With the 21st pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select DeAndre Bembry from St. Joseph's University.
DeAndre Bembry, versatile player for St. Joe's. Jay, what are the Hawks having him?
Well, he's a terrific player. He's a finisher. Finishes about 68% around the rim. Not a great jump shooter. Only shoots about 30% of his jump shots, but he is quick. He's a well-rounded player that can play the point. I love his old school throw too. But he can really defend. He led the Atlantic 10 in scoring a couple of years ago. He hasn't really shot threes particularly well. His three-point percentage has gone down over the years, but he can post up smaller guards. He's an excellent guard rebounder, over 7 per game. You can't beat him up. He plays with great pace. Another guy that knows how to play. And you know, I had picked him earlier to be a sleeper in the draft a few weeks ago. He was terrific at the combine. DeAndre Bembry, great teammate, and I really like this pick. He's a great kid.
And DeAndre Bembry, of course, dealing with tragedy. His brother was killed last week. DeAndre is not here in the draft tonight. Charlotte Hornets are now on the clock at the moment. 4 minutes left to make that pick. In terms of the basketball perspective, what do you think of Bembry going to the Hawks?
LeBron James plays in the Eastern Conference, and they lost Damari Carroll, so they're trying to still fill the hole at small forward. They're doing a really good job of trying to address that in tonight's draft with guys that can do multiple things, but also, as you mentioned, be good teammates in the locker room.
And they got some retooling going on there. I mean, we don't know, obviously, with Teague going out. We don't know what's going to happen with Horford. I mean, so there are a lot of questions that the Hawks are going to have to prepare for these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no question. Teague is already gone. You've got unrestricted free agents in Al Horford and Kent Bazemore. Have Taurean Prince coming their way as a result of an earlier draft once a trade is completed. And right now the Hornets are on the clock. Just under 3.5 minutes to make the pick as we wind down here in the first round of the draft.
NBA Draft 2016, presented by State Farm, is brought to you by the new $1.49 steak flatbread sandwich at Taco Bell. It's all the steak, none of the sacrifice. Otezla. Learn more at otezla.com. And 1800 Tequila. Enough said. Please drink responsibly.
So right now, officially, the Hornets are on the clock, but there has been a proposed trade that we have no reason to believe won't be consummated. The Hornets are going to get Marco Bellinelli in exchange. The teams will receive this pick, the 22nd overall in the draft. So Sacramento, which already tonight has come up with Yorgos Papagiannis as a result of a proposed trade. Their deal with Phoenix will send Marquise Chris back to the Suns, and now Sacramento will get their second player of the night once they make this pick. Sacramento has been a team that historically is a little tough to figure in terms of their plan. They've got an international player. What do you see that they should do here?
It's a really tough call. We talked about them losing Rajon Rondo. We know DeMarcus Cousins is an all-NBA performer. Which way are they trying to go? I mean, they've changed coaches basically every other year for the past 10 years. So I think that stability is going to be more key, or just as much as the players that they draft at this point for that team.
Reese, you were kind when you said they're a little difficult to figure out. They're impossible to figure out. I mean, here do you replace an old shooter, Bellinelli, going to Charlotte with a younger one? I mean, do you look for shooting here? I just wonder, too, you know, where is the stability? Whenever you talk about Sacramento, even when you've got an all-star, even when you got somebody as good as Boogie Cousins, where is the stability?
And Cousins has put up remarkable numbers, but they haven't been able to get in the playoffs with him of late. Can they find that help as Charlotte makes this pick for Sacramento right now? Here's the commissioner.
With the 22nd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Malachi Richardson from Syracuse University.
Yeah, I see nods of approval up here on my set. Malachi Richardson had a great NCAA tournament as Syracuse made their run, an ACC all-freshman team. As you see the vintage Carmelo Anthony jersey. Okay, we weren't nice. We don't know what Sacramento's doing. What are they doing now?
Well, a couple of years ago, we were here, and they took Nick Stauskas, then they took Ben McLemore, and I felt that that was the same player, and neither one of those guys panned out. When you have a DeMarcus Cousins that's going to draw a lot of attention, you need a knockdown shooter in the backcourt. Malachi Richardson is going to come in and really be that guy. He took 65% of his shots, basically, in college were from three-point range, a knockdown shooter.
You see Richardson making his way up to greet Adam Silver. He was a good three-point shooter for the Cuse last year, and now he's going to get the Hornets hat for right now. But eventually it'll change into the Kings hat. Tell us a little bit about Richardson.
Well, he can really shoot it. He's long-armed. He's got a wingspan of 7 feet, and he's got huge hands. He's a big player. What I like about him is he's got a high basketball IQ. He learns quickly. He's got an NBA quality step-back move already. Not a great effective field goal percentage. It's under 50%, about 46. That was third lowest in the my top 50 of the draft. But still, you had guys that had that kind of field goal percentage coming out. One of them was Kawhi Leonard, got a lot better. He was strictly used as a shooter, but he catches and releases quickly, and he's got a high release. I really like him as a player.
You say something about catch and shoot. How about J.R. Smith? And coincidentally, the school that Richardson graduated from, J.R. Smith attended for 1 year while he was a freshman. He's probably still walking around shirtless, celebrating a championship. So yes, I like that comp, and I think he's going to be that type of player in the NBA.
I want to see what guys do under pressure. And under pressure in late March in the tournament, he was terrific for his team. And I think, you know, when you're Sacramento, we're talking about looking for stability, looking for guys who aren't afraid and understand to their degree that you can what playing under pressure is. I think this is a good pick.
And he's an excellent jump shooter.
And so Richardson will have his opportunity now once the trade is finalized, and he goes to Sacramento. Right now he's with Lisa.
Malachi, there were some people who were questioning whether you should make this move and enter the draft. Were you starting to doubt a little bit when you were sitting over there in that green room?
I was a little nervous, but God has a way, and he got me to this point, and I just had to trust the process, and I'm glad I was able to get drafted.
Now, you've got the Hornets hat on, but you're going to the Sacramento Kings. They obviously believe in you. How do you know that this is the right move for you? How are you so sure?
I mean, everything happens for a reason. They picked me today, and I'm just thankful for that.
Congratulations to you. Reese.
Lisa, Malachi, thank you very much. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Celtics are back on the clock. Their third first-round pick. They took Jaylen Brown, a bit of a surprise early, and then Gershon Yabusele was their next first-round pick. And now Boston on the clock. What will they do? Are there moves coming to Boston? The draft continues in Brooklyn after this. Tomorrow night, WNBA, the Sparks trying to avenge their first loss of the season. The Lynx trying to continue their historic undefeated record. Rematch, Sparks and Lynx tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV. Boston Celtics are on the clock right now. They have another pick, their third of the first round. It was expected that the Celtics would try to move, and perhaps they still are trying to move some of these picks. Some of them they got from the Brooklyn Nets, and the Celtics fans rubbing it in. The sign there, you see, thanks for the picks. We've got another one coming next year that they can switch with Brooklyn as well. So Boston we've talked about it several times. They have a number of guys under contract. They're trying to find that real difference maker player after a team that won 48 games this year. There are a couple of value guys still out there. A little bit surprised Labissiere hasn't been taken yet. Deontay Davis hasn't been taken yet. You'd think draft and stash maybe, but they might not be able to afford to when you have guys like that still on the board.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for maybe what you'd call a gamble pick or the risk-reward thing, DeJounte Murray of Washington is still out there. I happen to like, and Michael has mentioned him a number of times, Bryce Johnson of North Carolina, I really like. Now, whether you take him here or a little bit later in the first round, I like Bryce Johnson a lot.
Let's see who it will be as Boston makes its third pick of the first round. Commissioner Silver about to step to the microphone and give us the latest on Danny Ainge's master draft plan.
With the 23rd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Ante Zhou from Split, Croatia. He last played for Cibona Zagreb in Croatia.
Now, I would hasten to warn that lad that that was a similar reaction that Kristaps Porzingis got last year in this very building. Ante Zhou from Croatia, a center. So, Fran, Celtics going international again here after getting Yabusele earlier. Tell us a little bit about Zhou.
Absolutely, Reese. I would caution those Celtic fans as well. One of my favorite kids in this draft. 6'11", 240, has a mean streak. Played really well this year in a good basketball league that has produced NBA players in recent years. High energy big man who can play hard around the rim, run the floor, and I'm going to tell you something. Great toughness and work ethic. In fact, here's a story. When he was under 10 years old, he had a business renting beach chairs on the Split beaches in Croatia. That's the kind of work ethic this kid has. His older brother's been a really good European player. This kid comes from great stock. Celtics got a great young big kid here. Maybe not for now, but certainly lots of value. A steal. Danny Ainge, you got to steal.
Okay, so Fran, you say maybe not for now, but the steal long term as Boston continues to not only try to take care of business now, but for the future as well. So Zhou, not sure when he's going to come over, the big Croatian, another international player gone. I don't know if we can draw anything from this right now. That we talked a lot about maybe it being a 2 franchise player type draft, and then after that a tier of players, and then beyond that it was going to be a little bit of a surprise. And that's how it's played out so far. But at the very top of the draft, as the Philadelphia 76ers have returned to the clock with the 24th overall pick. Philadelphia started this night, which has been somewhat unpredictable, with a very predictable pick, taking Ben Simmons from Australia and LSU. You see him greeting Commissioner Silver, and Ben Simmons on his way to try to revitalize the Philadelphia 76ers. And Philadelphia has fallen on some hard times in their professional sports, but the good news is you get to draft young stars when you do that. Carson Wentz taken 2nd overall by the Eagles, their quarterback of the future. Mickey Moniak, high school outfielder, number 1 overall for the Philadelphia Phillies, and now Ben Simmons joins to try to bring the Sixers back in to the winning ways. So Philadelphia's made one big pick tonight. What do you think now? What do they need to do now?
I don't want to see draft and stash from Philadelphia.
You don't?
Their fans have waited too long. I mean, how long do they have to wait? They need to try to build a team for now. Forget draft and stash for them, in my opinion. I mean, Jay and I certainly both, and I'm sure Zhelin too, like Demetrius Jackson. I mean, they are wanting in every area now. So why stash somebody for 2 or 3 years in Europe?
Give you the quick Reader's Digest condensed, and we use that term a lot, draft and stash. When there's an international player who's under contract and you draft him, you don't necessarily have to bring him onto your team right then. You retain his rights as long as he's under contract to one of the other teams. So it gives you a little time to let him develop in that regard.
Let him develop, and he also doesn't go on your payroll, so you don't have to pay him right then. You know, they team internationally is probably paying him, and you don't have to. So it's a good option when you don't have anything that may help you right away that you'd have to pay.
Do you agree with Michael, though, that Philadelphia needs to be careful about that? And again, Philadelphia could be trying to make deals, too, so this could be part of it. But the Philadelphia needs to do something now. The time has come. They won 47 games in 3 years.
Yeah, but you can't make up for everything that's happened the last 3 years. You know, Jerry Colangelo and Brian Colangelo have to start where they are and use the assets they've got. So they have to take the best available player. If they got to wait a little while, that's okay too.
Get Zhelin's thoughts on that in just a second. Sixers about to make their second pick of this first round. They took Ben Simmons right off the top. Now the 24th pick as we wind down in the first round. The commissioner, Adam Silver, has the Sixers' choice.
With the 24th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot from Khan, France. He last played for Megalex in Serbia.
Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot being selected by the Sixers, and that is a welcome choice in Philadelphia. And Timothé is there and greeting his loved ones and celebrating this moment as a first-round draft pick. The Clippers go on the clock for the moment. Philadelphia fans starve to celebrate. Fran Fraschilla, we heard Wilbon just say that Philadelphia didn't need to draft and stash, and offering the caveat that we don't know what other moves might be coming. Where is Luwawu-Cabarrot right now in terms of being ready now or in the future?
One of the best athletes in this draft, a perfect location. Remember, French kids, especially the athletic ones, translate well. He's 6'6". He's your classic 3-and-D guy. Outstanding athlete, can be a really good defender. You guys watch for yourself, and you tell me if he isn't a good athlete. Just remember, guys, 100 international players in the NBA last year. And this kid has got good positional size, is an improving outside shooter, and yes, he's a fabulous athlete. And whether he's drafted and stashed or he comes over now, it's all about value. And where he's taken by the Sixers in this spot, terrific value for this Frenchman.
All right, Zhelin, you've talked about specialists at this point in the draft, and Fran mentioned a 3-and-D guy, and perhaps that is what Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot will become eventually for Philadelphia. He's here in the building, as you saw, and with Lisa Saul.
Tim, for fans who don't know you, how would you describe your game?
My game? I like to say that I'm a complete player. I like to do defense, play defense, offense, and bring everything on the court. And my energy is also one part in my game. So
you and Ben Simmons now both going to Philadelphia. What do you think that's going to be like playing with Ben Simmons in Philly?
It's going to be your thing to play with the first pick of the NBA draft. So I'm going to see how it's going on.
All right, congratulations to you. Reese.
Oh. All right, Lisa, we're all getting a chuckle out of that sign from the Philadelphia fans.
And rightfully so. I mean, this was a plan that Sam Hinkie instituted.
Yeah, I mean, look,
and it's playing out.
He's the one. I mean, he got some grief. They lost a lot of games, but they got a lot of draft picks. They've got all of the cap room, basically, now to be able to become competitive quickly.
And now you have an athletic 3 to go with all of the 4s and 5s you've drafted the last couple of years to play against some of the better wings in the Eastern Conference. Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, etc.
Didn't it sound like Fran was describing Thabo Sefolosha to some degree? Another, international player who's had a full NBA career already and helped. First the Bulls on a limited level and in Atlanta more so. But again, I understand the notion of a general manager has to worry about the future. He's not the coach of the team. He's not worried about tonight entirely, exclusively. But if I'm Philadelphia, you see all these fans, now is the time for progress. That's another one of those signs that who can't understand their frustration in a town that loves basketball like Philadelphia to have been just irrelevant for as long as they have been.
So the Sixers make another first-round draft pick. They've got another one coming up, but not until after Los Angeles Clippers, who are on the clock, make their selection. They've had 4 straight 50-win seasons, the only 50-win seasons in franchise history behind Doc Rivers. DeAndre Jordan looked for a while last offseason, and he wouldn't be with the Clippers, but instead he's first-team All-NBA, getting nearly 13 points, nearly 14 rebounds per game while shooting 70% from the floor. Lost to the Trailblazers in the first round, but a big reason for that, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul both injured. So now, what do the Clippers add to the mix here? Adam Silver has the Clippers' choice with the 25th pick in the draft.
With the 25th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Bryce Johnson from the University of North Carolina.
The senior forward from the Tar Heels took his team all the way to the national championship game. He was a first-team All-American, averaged a big double-double, and still people had him projected into the second round. The Clippers get him at the end of the first, Jay.
Well, his senior year was essentially like a contract year, and his motor revved as high as it ever has this last year. A transition athlete that can really run. He is explosive off the floor. He gets off the floor quickly, and he gets up high. And he really did a great job rebounding. Always been an excellent offensive rebounder, but this year, one of the 2 or 3 best rebounders in the country. 15 rebounds per 40 minutes. Right up there with Joel Bollenboy of Weber State and Ben Simmons, the first pick from LSU. He also makes NBA shots. He's got an excellent turnaround jumper. He can make that short corner jumper, 18-foot range that I think can stretch out because of the quality of his stroke, can stretch out to NBA three-point range. I really like this pick. I think Bryce Johnson got it because he's so good offensively. He's not good guarding pick and rolls. He's got to get better at that. His defense has to improve, but offensively, terrific player.
He's got such balance, and he's not good around the rim. He's great around the rim. Can I say legitimately, he reminds me of a young Rasheed Wallace, who comes into the league. He's got the extension. That shot's not going to get blocked where he's shooting it. He's got a great mid-range shooting game already. Jay mentioned how he can take that out. The stroke looks so pure. I don't understand why so many people are just okay on him.
The Clippers need front court depth, and they need finishers when you have Chris Paul that can create and Blake Griffin to create the way he can as well.
He'll flip it up by that rim, and Bryce can finish it up there.
And DeAndre going to be fighting for it.
Well, maybe the Clippers will make a run. Look who's back on the clock again. Here they come. Here come the Sixers with their 3rd first-round pick. Welcome back to NBA Draft 2016 from Brooklyn, presented by State Farm. Now the 76ers are on the clock. The reason the Sixers are picking here, this is the result of a trade with the Nuggets. JaVale McGee involved in that trade as well. But this pick originally belonged to Oklahoma City and winds up in the hands of Philadelphia. Oklahoma City has made some moves tonight. Let's check in with Tom Penn now. Tom, what about what Oklahoma City's doing right now?
Ooh, Oklahoma City, who we talking about? Kevin Durant, and there's a bad word on here. Unrestricted free agency. We all know that's coming next week. Kevin Durant can go anywhere. Next year, Russell Westbrook, the same unrestricted free agent. Durant has said, I'm going to make a basketball decision. Who do I have? Well, they just lost the power forward in exchange for Oladipo, Ilyasova, and now Sabonis. It's a deep roster, right? That's what he likes. But what's the other news of the day? Oh, yeah, in New York, they got $35 million. And Phil Jackson supposedly told his new prized possession, Derrick Rose, that they're going after Kevin Durant. So how does Kevin Durant feel about this mix, where it's Carmelo Anthony, Rose, and a young Porzingis? They still have work to do because there's nobody else left on the roster other than free agents. But guys, I could put 4 other teams up here, Golden State, Houston, you name it. They're all gunning for Kevin Durant. And does he stay or does he go? Very compelling stuff coming in Oklahoma City.
All right, Tom, we'll get some thoughts from Jay and Jalen and Michael about what Oklahoma City is doing in just a moment. But the pick is now in for the 76ers, the pick that originally, before the trade with the Nuggets, belonged to OKC. But the Sixers making it now at number 26.
With the 26th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Furkan Korkmaz from Turkey. He last played for Anadolu Efes in Turkey.
A member of the Turkish national team. So, Fran Fraschilla, what about Furkan Korkmaz?
Well, Reese, Michael Wilbon is saying, are you Furkan Korkmaz? Okay? And what he is a 6'7" athlete who can shoot the ball from three. He can dunk it. He's young. He's only 19 years old, and he's got a chance to be really a good player. But here's the problem. He's got a $2 million buyout, and his salary is only $900,000. So what you're going to do is probably see him definitely as a draft and stash. But the talent is there. The athleticism is there. He's got to put some weight on. But Philly's got an asset for the future. We'll see what happens. I think he'll be back in Turkey the next year or two.
All right, Fran, so that's counter to what Michael had said that he'd like to see Philadelphia do. But once again, I want to re-emphasize that they're still talking about a lot of different things. They could be moving these assets to try to do different things and bring guys in now.
And by the way, Brian Colangelo has had some success with international drafting and sort of was ahead of the curve on that with the league. And so Brian knows what he's doing internationally. I'm trying to give a little voice to the Philly fan here who's going, what? When am I going to see these guys in a uniform and contributing to something other than the last place team?
Yeah, you know, they may be happy once everything's said and done. I think they're so delirious right now with getting Ben Simmons. They're probably off to a good start. I want to go back to Oklahoma City. We just heard Tom Penn talk about it. They've made a deal tonight, a proposed trade, which would bring them Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis, who was the 11th pick in the draft, in exchange for Serge Ibaka. With all of the free agency questions that they're having right now, Jalen, what do you think of what Oklahoma City's trying to do?
I think when I see OKC, the two things that get overlooked when we talk about KD's free agency is, one, Sam Presti has shown me he can continue to build a quality roster around him. They made the Western Conference Finals for the last 6 years. And second, Russell Westbrook is a top 5 player in the NBA. So as I see all of the other 29 teams lining up to get KD, those are two things that get left out from a team that eliminated the 67-win Spurs. They were up 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors. And if you want to look at anybody that I'm sure took a lot of blame for them not closing it out in Game 6, it's actually Kevin Durant. So it would be tough for me to see him leave that bunch, especially to join a team that eliminated them. I just can't fathom that happening. It may go down like that, but wow, I'd be disappointed if it did.
I'm pretty much with Jalen, and the point that they continue to build in Oklahoma City, getting a Steven Adams, even as you let a Reggie Jackson go, you keep filling in, even after you let James Harden go. They've been able to rebuild a roster, tinker with a roster. Now, you know, the hysteria here, we haven't talked about this yet, is in metropolitan New York where we sit tonight. People going crazy. Jalen's rolled this out already. I love this about Kevin Durant looking at a roster with, you know, Derrick Rose joining the Knicks. Obviously, with Carmelo Anthony, there's the thought out there that Joakim Noah, a free agent, and this close still with Derrick Rose, could be the guy to upgrade from center from Lopez that they've had. Oh, Durant's going to look at that and automatically fall in love. You and I agree that he's not going to fall in love that quickly. He's got a better roster than that around him, and Kevin Durant is about winning now, like right now. So I don't see that.
And tonight they just added Oladipo, an athletic, talented young guard, and Sabonis is going to give them more depth up front.
I was going to say, Jay, what if they keep them all? What if they re-sign KD? What if they keep Westbrook? They've got Oladipo too. So
I think it's more likely than not that they do keep Durant. I mean, why do you leave?
I don't know.
You leave for more money and for a better chance to win. But I agree with you, guys. Who's got a better chance to win going forward than Oklahoma City? And they've got great management. They make decisions to get better, and they're going to be able to pay KD.
Pay him more.
I think
they can pay him more than anybody.
All right, so Toronto is on the clock right now. Less than a minute to go to make their pick, the 27th pick. They took Jakob Poeltl earlier tonight in the draft, but there are still several guys sitting in the green room. For more on that, let's go to Andy Katz.
All right, thank you, Reese. I want to set the scene for what's happening here in the green room because it's a very unique situation. You've got two Hall of Fame coaches, John Calipari and Tom Izzo, who will be entering the Hall of Fame in the fall, really working the phones to try to get their guys drafted. Deontay Davis, a freshman from Michigan State, projected to go in the lottery. Scalabrine from Kentucky, projected to go somewhere in the back end of the lottery or the mid-teens. And then DeJounte Murray from Washington, also someone that thought he was going to go a little bit higher. So you got 3 freshmen still here in the green room. And John Calipari telling me, look, if you're a freshman, you better be a lot better than everybody else, especially all the foreigners that have been taken. And as for Izzo, he said this is a cautionary tale for a lot of these freshmen that are leaving early.
All right, Andy. So, Jay, what do you think? There are no guarantees when you step out and do this. What about the decision making for guys who end up getting left in the green room?
Well, I mean, it's unrealistic to think that freshmen aren't going to come out anymore because a couple guys are still sitting in the green room. One of them sitting in the green room because he can't shoot. But he can do other things, and you know, Andy's point about, or Tom Izzo's point about having all these foreign players. I mean, that's part of the calculus now. You start looking at the guys around you, thinking that's the universe, and it's not. There are a bunch of players outside this country that are coming in year after year that are really good, and they're taking up these draft spots. But you know, your decision can't be just based on where you get drafted. It has to be, am I ready to devote myself fully to becoming a pro? And if you are ready to be a pro, where you get drafted is not the biggest deal. And, you know, Scalabrine did not have a great season. If he came back, what if he didn't have a great season when he came back? You know, there are a lot of people who thought you've got to go because if you come back, he might not have played as much next year because of the class that Kentucky's got coming in. And that's kind of the issue at Kentucky. Like, you may have to go pro because you might not be good enough to play as much on your college team there. And so it's a totally different dynamic, but there's no way a couple guys still sitting there is going to deter all these players from leaving early. It's never going to happen.
And you stated it, like, when you get drafted in the first round, at least it's a guaranteed contract versus the second round where it's non-guaranteed. But why are you coming out? Are you coming out because you're going to devote your life to basketball, or you hope to get picked high? For me, as an early entrant, I wanted to go in the top 15. To me, when you go later, the team isn't going to be necessarily as committed or devoted to your failures. They're more apt to not allow you to stick around. So for these guys, hopefully they get picked in the first round, because having that guaranteed money gives you an opportunity for the team to continue to believe in you, even if you start off slow.
You know, nearly half of the guys drafted last year, the entire draft, first and second round, spent some time in the D-League. Not as easy as they think. Here's Commissioner Silver with the Raptors.
With the 27th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Pascal Siakam from Douala, Cameroon, and New Mexico State University.
Can somebody tell
Deontay Davis is still left behind. Pascal Siakam is the 9th international player selected in the first round. That's a new record. He did play at New Mexico State, as you heard the commissioner say, from Cameroon.
Pascal Siakam is another guy with an incredibly long wingspan, 7'3" wingspan. He's just about 6'10", grabs about 13 rebounds per 40 minutes. The overwhelming majority of his shots come right around the basket. So he's an energy big guy that's got good length, that runs the floor. He gets about 1.2 points per possession in transition. So he does a good job running the floor. I would call him a relentless rebounder. Just under 12 rebounds a game, and he plays a ton of minutes, so it's 13 per 40 minutes. Not a great athlete, a respectable face-up shot. I'm a little surprised he went in the first round. I pegged him as a second rounder, but he's got ability, and he's got an NBA skill. He can get you extra possessions because he can rebound.
He was the youngest of 4 brothers. One of his brothers, James, played at Vanderbilt. He was the one who initially didn't really want to be a basketball player, and he turns out to be a first-round pick, 27th overall, going to the Toronto Raptors. So when Siakam's name was called, there is Deontay Davis from Michigan State. His reaction, maybe a bright future for the talented young former Spartan, but it's been a frustrating night up to this point. 3 more picks remaining in the first round. Phoenix Suns back on the clock with the 28th pick. The draft headlines: Ben Simmons going #1 overall to the 76ers. Brandon Ingram followed just behind. He's going to the Lakers 2nd overall. Now, 4 trades have been proposed. We haven't had any announcement that these have been finalized yet, but we've been detailing them throughout the night. Teams making picks for other teams. And 8 true international players drafted in the first round. That ties an NBA record. What I mean by true international background, didn't play at all in the U.S. college system. That's been the theme of the night. Some of them on their way to the NBA next year. Perhaps some of them will stay with their teams overseas and come to the NBA at a later date. Flags being celebrated as a number of countries have been represented in the first round. There's another half dozen guys who have an international background who played in U.S. colleges who've been selected in the first round. The Suns are on the clock right now with the 28th overall pick. Phoenix, as you mentioned earlier, has a history of doing well with international players, but right now you have a couple of guys still sitting down in the green room that we thought would be gone by now. Skal Labissière and Deontay Davis. Yeah, we've just been sitting here talking during the break about what ought to happen if those players are not drafted or if they're not happy with their draft status. Why can't they just go back to college? I mean, they've done nothing they haven't accepted money. They haven't played. They haven't done anything to threaten their own amateur status as defined by the NCAA. So it seemed to me the NCAA unilaterally could decide tomorrow if Deontay Davis wants to come back because he's unhappy with the process, he's seen it play out, he's a teenager, why not allow him to come back to Michigan State as long as the school will have him, Jay?
Well, they should, because they allow it in every other sport. They allow it in baseball, they allow it in other sports. You can do the same thing in hockey. But like right now, the top guys on the best available list, Deontay Davis has been there a while, freshman. The other one is Skal Labissière. Of the two, Labissière is the better shooter. And he's a guy that was ranked really high, you know, not only in the ESPN 100 last year, but he was considered to be a guy that would go in the top 5 before the season started. And then he really underperformed during the season. And you wonder when when it becomes a chance to take a gamble on him. It's not a gamble anymore if you draft him or Davis. Those are really quality picks right now.
And Phoenix has an opportunity to make one right now. The Phoenix Suns, who've been active tonight, number 4 overall pick in Dragan Bender, and now they're picking 28th. Here's Adam Silver.
With the 28th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Skal Labissière from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and the University of Kentucky.
So Skal Labissière sort of continues both of the themes as John Calipari has a smile, a relieved look on his face as Skal gets drafted. Labissière coming from Haiti. His family suffered in that unimaginable tragedy of the earthquake. He was able to leave the country, came to the United States, ultimately played in Kentucky, and now is a first-round draft pick with Phoenix. And Phoenix, Dragan Bender, when a trade is completed, they're going to have Marquise Chris, and now they have Skal Labissière. They got a lot of guys with the proverbial upside.
Well, first of all, what a terrific kid Skal Labissière is. Now, you're not going to get drafted because you're a terrific kid. He's got ability, too. But what he can do is he's got a terrific shooting touch. He's athletic, he's long, and he can really block shots. His timing in blocking shots and his block percentage is really good. He didn't play a ton of minutes last year because he was getting pushed around, and he did not rebound at a high rate. His defensive rebounding was not at a high rate. So he took steps back. I think a lot of people, myself included, when he came into college basketball, thought he was going to be dominant, and he was not that. He was way less than that.
And since he was not dominant, Jay fell to this late in the draft, and I'm comparing him to another stretch forward, Raef LaFrentz, more of a finesse player, a perimeter-oriented player, had a really long career in the NBA. He played 10 seasons. He made a good coin, $84 million playing basketball. Now, how about this for Coach Cal? Bledsoe, Knight, Booker, and Skal, all members of the Phoenix Suns. Earl Watson better probably watch for his job because Coach Cal may be trying to get an offer from the Phoenix Suns to come back.
I think one of those calls from his phone went to Phoenix.
No doubt, no question. Coach Cal was back there working it.
I love the fact that every time Zhelin does a comparison, he knows how much money has been made. I mentioned this a moment ago when you saw Skal get drafted. The earthquake in 2010 in Haiti, which killed hundreds of thousands of people. The Labissiere family was very fortunate to have survived it. Part of it was due to the fact that some of the furniture that they had built helped some of the rubble off of them. Made his parents more open to allowing Skal to look for a different path to enhance his basketball career, and one that culminates tonight by being a first-round draft pick. He is with Lisa Salter.
Skal, after everything that your family has been through, what did it mean to you to hear your name called and to be drafted into the NBA?
It was a great blessing. You know, we've been through a lot. I've been, you know, picturing this moment my whole life, and I'm very thankful to be able to be, you know, part of the NBA. So.
What was it like to be waiting? You were in that green room waiting for a while. What was that like, waiting and not knowing?
At first it was a little, you know, nerve-wracking, but after a while it was just like it's God's plan for me. You know, wherever He wants me to go, that's where I'm going to go, and I know I'll be successful in the league. So.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations to you. Reese.
All right, Lisa, Skal, thank you very much. We have a couple of picks remaining in the first round. 29th pick goes to the San Antonio Spurs, so you won't want to tune it away anywhere because an all-star is about to be selected. no matter who they pick.
International prospect is going to be selected.
They'll find somebody, and they'll be very successful. And since San Antonio has been terrific throughout the time of the Big Three, 67 wins, most in franchise history a year ago. They've won 50 or more, 17 years in a row. Just think about that for a second. Kawhi Leonard, who was originally drafted by the Pacers, they made the trade, Spurs got him. Defensive Player of the Year, first team All-NBA, and they took on the Thunder. Oklahoma City was hitting its stride. They took out the Spurs in 6 games to move on to the Western Conference Finals, and then the question becomes, how much longer will San Antonio have those cornerstones of the franchise together, Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, as they start to transition into the future?
Tony Parker, while a Finals MVP and a champion, definitely got a little bit older via his play last year. And point guards took advantage of that. He wasn't able to penetrate the defense and get open shots for his teammate like we were accustomed to seeing in the past. And they had to run their offense a lot different because their 2 forwards actually were their leading scorers in Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge, which meant they were playing more from the wing as opposed to the top of the floor, taking advantage of that space.
You know, it was a jolt one night when during the playoffs, Pop told a group of us, he just said out loud that the guys, the cornerstones now of the franchise are Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge. And he said the words that those 3 future Hall of Famers were role players. And you could hear a pin drop in the moment, but of course, Pop was just telling a hard truth, one that they all had become accustomed to already. It was just tough to hear. It sort of made it official when he said it. And so the Spurs, you're right. I mean, it's like whoever they choose. Would Kawhi Leonard be Kawhi Leonard if he had been drafted by someone else a few years ago? I don't think so. I don't think he'd be the impact player he is. You know, one of the best defensive player in the league, a first-team all-league selection. Would he be that? And the Spurs have a way of bringing out the best and hiding some of these flaws and accentuating strengths. And so you can't wait to see who they're going to draft because you think that person's going to be relevant immediately.
You know, it was an emotional scene. We saw Tim Duncan walk off the floor, losing that last playoff game. Would that be the last time? And was it the end of an era? San Antonio's just going to turn the page. Someone who will help them do that, about to be selected right now. The Spurs with the next to the last pick, the penultimate pick of the first round. Adam Silver.
Go.
With the 29th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select DeJounte Murray from the University of Washington.
DeJounte Murray played a single season in Seattle for Lorenzo Romar, the second first-round pick to come from the Huskies tonight. A solid campaign statistically, didn't win as much as they would have liked. 16 points, averaged 6 rebounds, and about 4.5 assists per game. So as the Golden State Warriors go on the clock, DeJounte Murray is the name that you've mentioned a couple of times tonight, Jay, in terms of a talented guy with a lot of potential.
NBA talent, you mentioned it, he's got potential for the future. Very, very talented, athletic, another long-armed guard that's 6'9.5" wingspan, very good in transition, can finish above the rim. I'd classify him as a scoring guard, not necessarily a passer, really good off the bounce. He turns it over 3 times a game. He's got a 20% turnover rate, which is high. He needs to be a better finisher. He's a 29% jump shooter. but he's got a good floater. He's a solid guard rebounder. 6 rebounds a game, as you mentioned. And he's actually got a better rebound rate than his teammate Marquise Chris, who's a lot bigger and a lot longer. He's got good hands on defense, can be unfocused at times, but he's really young. He lacks a consistent jump shot, and his shot selection needs to improve, but he's got a ton of talent. And another really good kid. Both he and Marquise Chris were not rated as high coming out of high school. But man, how many pros has Lorenzo Romar put out?
That's exactly where I was going.
It's remarkable how many pros he's had.
Klay Thompson in particular. For Dejounte Murray, I like his fashion too. I'm seeing a lot of Achilles tonight with the short pants, but I don't mind it if you're under 25 years old.
Northwestern guy who loves purple. I'm happy to see a guy wear purple like this on draft night.
Dejounte Murray is with Lisa Salter.
Dejounte, I know you waited a little bit longer than you wanted to, but what does it mean to you to finally hear your name called?
It's a dream come true. I'm blessed to be in this situation where I come from. I'm thankful. I appreciate God a lot, and I can't thank him enough. And the rest of my support system.
Now, no one cares because you're in the NBA now, so it doesn't really matter. But what we do care about are your shoes. The guys are really digging on your shoes. Tell me about your shoes.
I wore purple because it's dedicated to my cousin. That was, he died last summer. So, I wanted to wear purple and for a memorable thing of him.
All right, sorry for your loss. Congratulations on this next chapter for you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And Lisa, Dejounte, thank you. And that small token remembrance that Dejounte Murray had, I think really speaks volumes for how important this night is. And sometimes we get caught up in the analytics and what a team needs and whether a guy's going to make it and bust potential. And what this means with this opportunity for these young men to reach this dream, to have a chance to play professional basketball, and how meaningful and emotional this night is.
Yeah, we look in the mirror and we all have dreams. And for you to be in a position to achieve the apex of your profession, there are only 4,000 people to ever play a basketball game in the league. So for him to have that opportunity and dedicate it to so many people that have been a support group from him, it really means a lot to see it.
I like when you mentioned how much money he made. This is a goal. This was a goal for anybody else graduating or getting out of college, right? Why shouldn't it be a goal? This young man ought to be like the happiest guy in the building. He was drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. He is going to have a chance to join something really special, be taught, be coached, improve as a basketball player. He ought to be thrilled.
And so the team on the clock right now with the final pick of the first round of this draft, the Golden State Warriors, world champions a season ago, runners-up this year after that epic 7-game series. 73 wins. They've been built through the draft. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Harrison Barnes, even Festus Ezeli. Barnes and Ezeli, what's their future there? Right now, we shall see. Draymond Green came in the second round in 2012. Building through the draft, and the Warriors will make another selection coming up in moments. Tom Penn, Golden State, perfectly positioned, not only for the present, perhaps for the future.
Yeah, when you build through the draft, it lasts. And here's the one thing that's happening. Restricted free agent Harrison in Barnes, okay? He could go away along with Ezeli, but if he does, remember, everybody's got cap space. And even this team, as great as they are, they've got a $14 million easy right now. They still have Iguodala, Livingston. So what do they do to find a complementary piece who could make them better? They said they'd be aggressive. I mean, they could get a shooter like Ryan Anderson to just space that floor more. They could go after a veteran like Pau Gasol at the end of his career to play within the system. A bunch of different directions. And oh yeah, I hate to say it, but they could even go after Kevin Durant, because all they have to do is trade Bogut or Iguodala to clear enough space, and that's even available. You take a spin around this roster and the way they built this thing with all these guys here to stay, it's a really compelling story. I mean, look, it still comes down to this guy, two-time MVP. They're built to last. They have money. I still can't believe they didn't win it this year. Man, way to go, Cleveland.
Neither can they, Tom, but they believe land that they didn't win it. And Golden State, and we'll talk a little bit about their future and the way they're set up right now in a moment. But right now, let's have the final pick of the first round of this 2016 draft. It belongs to the Warriors. Here is Adam Silver.
With the 30th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Damian Jones from Vanderbilt University.
The second Commodore selected tonight in the first round, Wade Baldwin going early.
To the great fans here at the Barclays Arena and the Nets for your hospitality. The next round will be conducted by Brooklyn native and Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Adam Silver's work is done. The Warriors taking Damian Jones from Vanderbilt.
Well, Damian Jones is big, he's athletic, and he can really run the floor. He's got a ton of ability. He can block shots. He's had a little bit of an inconsistent motor, I'd say. Plays hard and is aggressive at some points of the game and hangs back at others. But from a talent standpoint, he has got a ton of talent. Got a chance to really watch him at the Nike Basketball Academy last summer in Los Angeles, and clearly one of the most impressive big guys. His talent level's high. I think he can be a better and more productive rebounder, but the fact that he can block shots, he's got really good hands, he can finish plays. I just think, is he mean enough? Like, he's a really nice kid. Can he be kind of a meaner player and furrow his brow and be a little bit more aggressive? Because he's going to need that. But talent-wise, he's got it all.
Depending on what the Warriors decide to do and what Festus Ezeli decides to do, the Warriors potentially could replace one Vanderbilt guy with another Vanderbilt guy if Ezeli moves on and Damian Jones steps into that role. So we'll head into the second round in a moment. What do you think about where the Warriors are right now and the potential pursuit of Durant and all of that?
First off, don't panic. So many people judge the result. This is a 73-win team. They did have the unanimous back-to-back MVP. They were up 3-1 before their all-NBA performer, Draymond Green, got suspended. But this shows how you want to get a little bit taller. We talk a lot about their depth lineup, but the Cleveland Cavaliers were able to play Tristan Thompson, who was able to guard on the perimeter, play LeBron James at the 4. So it just gives them more depth based on the guys they may lose in free agency.
Would you hear what Joe Lacob, the owner, the CEO of the Warriors, told a group at Stanford earlier this week? He talked about how they are moving on from small ball. That small ball, once everybody's doing it, you need to be doing something else. Sounds like a Silicon Valley guy, doesn't it? And so Joe Lacob has made that point, but the point is very valid. Look, they have to get bigger and stronger. LeBron James bullied them. He ran over them. They had no physical sort of answer. So what now? I know that not every team has the blueprint, and certainly nobody else has LeBron James to enact what he did. But other teams are going to try it. They're going to say, wait a minute, let's play now this way to counter what Golden State does. And to me, it's just smart. I thought they would wind up taking some size. They need to. They got to figure out what they're going to do with Bogut and Ezeli. But they have to diversify what they do. They're not going away from Curry and Thompson. There's no overreaction, just like Jalen said. But they've got to get bigger, stronger in certain ways and diversify. They have to.
All right, so Golden State gets Damian Jones. First round is in the books. Maybe they get a little bigger. They just needed one more win at the end.
The Commodores talk. Where's Lionel Richie?
Second round going to get underway. Celtics back on the clock. Welcome to the second round of NBA Draft 2016, presented by State Farm. Celtics are on the clock for the second round, and just because it's the second round, it doesn't mean you can't find a gem. Many have been found since 2011, including Chandler Parsons, 38th pick by Houston, now a member with the Mavericks. Isaiah Thomas, the final pick 5 years ago tonight, became an all-star this past year. Jay Crowder went in the second round. Of course, everybody knows Draymond Green, second-round pick, a chip he still carries on his shoulder. And Josh Richardson, 40th overall, going to Miami, shot 53% from three after the all-star break. So Boston is on the clock right now, 8 picks on the night. Let's check in with Jeff Goodman and see what the Celtics are thinking right now as they enter the second round. They've made 3 of the picks. Now with the remaining 5, what's happening with Boston right now, Jeff?
You know, Reese, the night started with so much intrigue. Hasn't really worked out that way. They drafted Jaylen Brown, 2 international guys. The Celtics have traded picks 31 and 35 to Memphis for a pick that is the 2019 first-round pick that was originally with the Los Angeles Clippers. So the Celtics get rid of 2 of those 8 picks. They can't take 7 international guys now, Reese. I know you're upset about that. And we'll see what happens with pick number 35. 31 was Deontay Davis, which is chosen by Memphis.
Okay, so Mark Tatum, the Associate Commissioner of the NBA, will handle the second round now. As you heard Adam Silver mention, a Brooklyn native, and now the Celtics making the pick, as Jeff just told you, for Memphis at number 31.
Welcome to the second round. I couldn't be more proud to be here tonight in my hometown of Brooklyn, welcoming the next generation of the NBA. With the 31st pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Deontay Davis from Michigan State University.
I know it's been a disappointing night in many ways for Deontay Davis, but much like his fellow Michigan State former player Draymond Green, Deontay will be able to use this as motivation, getting the Celtics hat at the moment. As Jeff Goodman just reported, this pick is on its way to Memphis, where Deontay Davis will have a chance on a team that used more guys than anybody a year ago.
At this moment, it might feel like a walk of shame for him, but landing with the Boston Celtics, an athletic big, they need that up front with live legs and a live body. I think he's going to have staying power, though he's getting picked in the second round. We'll stick for the Celtics, and we'll be playing quality minutes for that team next year.
Now remember, according to what Goodman just told us, this is on its way to the Grizzlies.
To the Grizzlies, my bad.
Only 5 players last year were in the top 50 in offensive rebound rate and block percentage. Deontay Davis was one of those, and he was the only freshman among that group of 5. He's long, he's athletic, he can run, and he's an excellent rebounder, not only offensive rebounder, but defensive rebounder as well. He shot about 65% around the rim. He was 3rd in the Big Ten in blocked shots, and he only played 18 minutes per game. He has the Michigan State freshman record in blocked shots with 64. He has got a ton of ability. Still raw on the offensive end, but he has worked really hard and will continue to work hard.
Yeah, he's going to work hard in Memphis playing alongside Marcus, so you hope to get it back. How about this comparison? You like that, Wilby? Like that. Larry Nance getting up. He's raw. He's athletic. Live legs around the hoop. That's what Memphis is going to need in a Western Conference that has gotten stacked as the style of play of the league has passed them by from playing ground and pound the way they had and been successful previous years.
So Deontay Davis, the wait is over. He's with Lisa.
Deontay, the wait was tough. When you didn't hear your name called over and over again, you eventually left. Tell me why.
It was just something that they told me to do, so I just followed it. But it's nothing major. The pick doesn't mean anything. Just how you come out.
Absolutely. You know that none of that matters right now. You're in the NBA. You're going to be headed to Memphis. You know that. So just tell me, what do you want to prove now that you're in the NBA?
I mean, again, the pick doesn't mean anything. Just how you come out and play. I'm just going to play with a chip on my shoulder.
All right. Congratulations. You go out and do that. Reese.
All right, Lisa, prior to this draft, Grizzlies hadn't taken a freshman since they took Tony Roden in 2012. Now here's the proposed trade, again with the vernacular. None of these trades are official until finalized by the NBA. The draft rights to Deontay Davis going from the Celtics to the Grizzlies in exchange of 2019 first-round draft pick. Okay, so we have the Lakers on the clock. Remember, only 2 minutes between picks in the second round of the NBA draft. The Lakers making a selection. Here is Mark Tatum.
With the 32nd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Ivica Zubac from Croatia. He last played for Megalets in Serbia.
Ivica Zubac averaged about 10 points per game, about 5 rebounds. Very limited playing time. Fran, what do the Lakers get here?
This is a young big man, Reed, 7'1", 265, 19 years old. I'm going to let the video do the talking because there's a couple guys in this video that are supposed to be top 5 picks next year for the USA. And I want you to watch Zubac. Harry Giles going to Duke. He disappears in this highlight video, and he's a really good player. Zubac, I thought, would be a first-round talent. There's some maturity issues that are minor. He'll grow up, but for a second-round pick here, get that kind of size, that kind of age, really nice. Nicely done by the Lakers. He fell into the second round. Lots of teams had him in the first round.
Fran, I ask you this on a lot of these players, now or later for the Lakers and Zubac.
Well, these kids want to come over now, but I would be surprised if he doesn't stay back in Europe. But here's what you got to understand, Reese. The Lakers and his agent have got to be on the same page. And if the Lakers send him back to Europe, they have to make sure that they're putting him back in a place that he is going to develop. Otherwise, you bring him over and you put him in the D-League, and that's something that's discussed between the team and the agent.
So the Lakers just make that pick to their cross-town rivals. I don't even call it that. They're co-building inhabitants. The Clippers are now on the clock with the 33rd overall pick, third pick of the second round right now. Let's see what the Clippers do. Here is Mark Tatum.
With the 33rd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Cheick Diallo from Kai Miley and the University of Kansas.
Diallo is another highly touted guy, had some questions about eligibility for a while, didn't really perform to the level that many expected over the course of the year at Kansas, but again, a guy with a lot of upside and promise, Jay.
Another energy guy, a rebounder, shot blocker. He's only 6'9", but another guy with a 7'4" wingspan. Because he can run and finish, because he just plays his tail off all the time. He blocks shots around the rim. He's offensive rebounds, played very well at the combine. He showed a right-handed and left-handed hook, but just his activity level of running the floor, of protecting the rim, of getting on the glass every possession. He's just a pain in the rear end to block out every possession because he plays so hard. And, you know, he had some ridiculous eligibility problems before the season started. Got him off to a slow start at Kansas, but because he played behind, you know, so many experienced players, he didn't play a lot. But he was ranked really high coming out of high school. You know, the ESPN 100, he was yet another guy that Paul Biancardi and Reggie Rankin ranked right up there. And he's got real value because he can get you rebounds, he can finish plays, and he can run. If he wants to do more than that, you know, he's going to have to develop a lot more. But if he just does that, he will make so much money he won't be able to count it all.
So, Diallo, how will that fit in with what the Clippers have right now as he starts to mature?
They need more size. They need more big bodies, some consistent big bodies to play behind Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan up front.
Energy. Guys who can give you provide some minutes, depth when you get injuries late in the season. Youth. The Clippers need, as Zhelin said, all of that.
All right, so the Clippers take Cheick Diallo from Kansas. Now the Suns are back on the clock. They've been busy tonight with the 34th overall pick. Here's Mark Tatum.
With the 34th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Tyler Ulis from the University of Kentucky.
More guards for Phoenix. They had some health issues. Tyler Ulis, the only knock against him is that he's small. Other than that, he had a great year.
Oh, you mean like Isaiah Thomas, who they gave up on like last year? You mean like that?
Well, you know, if you're good enough, you're big enough, and this guy's good enough. Tyler Ulis is a pure point guard. He's an excellent passer. He's an outstanding defender. Can get up underneath you, really controls the ball handler. He can put pressure on for 94 feet. He improved as a shooter. He's a good shooter to start. He had to shoot a lot more. But I mean, he's the SEC Defensive Player of the Year in addition to being the Player of the Year in the league. A terrific leader. Got a little floater in the lane, and he's got really good footwork, excellent handle, and he's a terrific passer. The only knock on him has been his size. He doesn't have a lot of size. And I've also heard Cheick Diallo may be going to New Orleans.
Okay, so check Diallo just picked by the Clippers, could be on his way to New Orleans as Jay getting word of that proposed trade. Tyler Ulis selected by Phoenix. It's a great story about Ulis in a pickup game. He's still a high school guy. Called a foul on DeMarcus Cousins and then got right up in his face and DeMarcus wouldn't acknowledge it. Doesn't back down from anybody. The best available guys as the Celtics are back on the clock for a pick they will make for the Grizzlies. There's always a bit of sadness when the finals are over. You think no more basketball? Well, think again. Summer League, Samsung NBA Summer League. You can watch all the competition on the ESPN network and NBA TV. Matchup between the Sixers and the Lakers. You're going to see Simmons and Ingram. It all starts Saturday, July 9th on ESPN2. Come out and experience it live. For tickets, you can go to NBAtickets.com. I'd advise doing that today. Let's go back to the podium now. Mark Tatum, the Associate Commissioner.
With the 36th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Malcolm Brogdon from the University of Virginia.
Class guy, tough guy, first-team All-American, averaged 18 points per game. Everything you want, a young man, you'll find in Malcolm Brogdon.
Well, he's a leader, he's a defender, another guy with a crazy wingspan of 6'10". Comfortable coming off the screens and scoring. He's got a little bit of an unorthodox shot. It's flat, but he makes it. And Malcolm Brogdon plays at both ends of the floor. You know, he can handle the ball. He's very an excellent cutter. He knows how to play without the ball, more importantly. But he'll do whatever it takes to win and whatever it takes to get on the floor. And you talk about a great kid. This guy, his character is off the charts. I don't want to say he's Gandhi or anything, but they call him humble Moses. And just he's one of these. Yeah, but he's one of these 20. I'm 52 years old. I ask a guy like Malcolm Brogdon for advice. That's the kind of kid, the kind of maturity he's got.
Lived on the lawn at the University of Virginia. Maybe the most popular guy there since Jefferson himself. I don't know. If we're going to go Gandhi, you might as well go Jefferson too, right? We have a picture coming in fast and furious now. You see Zubac went to the Lakers. Sheck Diallo, as Jay told you, on his way to New Orleans in a proposed trade. Tyler Ulis went to Phoenix. Rade Zagorac, big forward from Serbia, was selected by the Celtics, but that one's going to the Grizzlies. It's part of the trade that Jeff Goodman told us about just a little bit earlier. All right, the Deputy Commissioner now is up. Mark Tatum with Houston on the clock with the 7th pick for the second round.
With the 37th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Chinanu Anuaku from the University of Louisville.
Anuaku played for Rick Pitino at Louisville. Big guy, 6'10", 245. What about his future?
One of the top defensive ratings among BCS conference players. The only player in the top 40 in block percentage, defensive rebound percentage. Top 40 of my best available list. 7'2" wingspan, a little bit raw on the offensive end, but he can protect the rim. He guards very well out of pick and roll situations. He moves his feet, runs the floor, pretty darn good rebounder. Offensively, not as great. You know, he's not a very good free throw shooter. He's been shooting the Rick Barry underhanded free throws, but he's there because he can run, he can block shots, and he can rebound.
Anuaku is selected there with the 37th overall pick. So now have the Milwaukee Bucks back on the clock. Second round continues when you come back. Well, look at Adam Silver. Remember the days when David Stern was the commissioner and Adam would do the second round, what a rock star he was with the fans? Still is. Still is.
Knows about social media, giving back to the fans, giving the people what they want.
Gotta give them what they want. Here's the pick, the Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum a few moments ago.
With the 38th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Patrick McCaw from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Patrick McCaw got a little size to him, a guard. He played inside when UNLV needed him to this past year. Versatile guy.
Versatile, long, lanky athlete that is really good in transition. 1/4 of his offense came in the open floor. Can knock down a three-point jumper, unorthodox shot, but hits 36% from three, 38% on catch and shoot. But he's also a long and lanky defender. He averaged over 2.5 steals. That puts him right up there with Chris Dunn of Providence and Gary Payton Jr. of Oregon State. Those are the 3 best steals guys in this draft, and Patrick McCaw right in the middle of them. And he's a good rebounder. He had multiple double-figure rebound games.
So McCaw is the second guy taken by the Bucks after they took Thon Maker with the 10th overall pick. Pelicans about to make a second-round selection.
Pelican fly.
With the 39th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select David Michino from Guadeloupe, France. He last played for Chalot in France.
David Michino, a 6'3" guard, 22-year-old kid. Fran, what about him?
Little surprised here, Reese. This kid came on the scene late. I mean, he's been a good player at the French Pro A level. If you watch him, he's got really good speed, quickness. One of those guys that drives equally well left and right. One knock on him is, especially now the league is going to looking for shooters. You see the athleticism there. That's unquestioned, but 29% career three, that has to improve. But you really like his speed and his athleticism. He's got average length. I am a little surprised here, but hey, happy for the kid. He reaches a dream. French guys translate usually. That's a good sign.
All right, friends, so Michino goes to New Orleans, and the Pelicans also on the clock with the 40th pick in the draft right now. The Deputy Commissioner, Mark Tatum, has that pick in hand, and he's on his way.
With the 40th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Diamond Stone from the University of Maryland.
However, the former Terrapin, great name, big guy inside, left the state of Wisconsin to play his 1 year at Maryland, Jay.
Well, he's from the state of Wisconsin, and he's an excellent offensive player. Plays with his back to the basket, and he can really score. Had 40 points in a game earlier this year, just 19 years old, and he can really score on anybody in the post. The question is, can he defend and rebound? Is he going to get in better condition? You know, he blocked 55 shots. He had 77 offensive rebounds on the season. His scoring's not an issue. It's the other stuff. And if he defends and rebounds, you're looking at a really good prospect and potentially a steal in the second round because of his offensive ability.
And this is a guy we're just told is part of a proposed trade. The last 2 picks made by the Pelicans, Michino and Diamond Stone, headed to the Clippers in exchange for Sheck Diallo. As Jay Billis told us earlier, right after Diallo was selected, the kid out of Kansas is on his way to the Pelicans, and there is the proposed trade. Magic back on the clock. Welcome back to NBA Draft 2016, presented by State Farm. In the second round, Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum with a pick just a few moments ago made by the Magic.
With the 41st pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Steven Zimmerman from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
2 of the last 4 picks, running Rebel. Steven Zimmerman going to Orlando.
Zimmerman is a young, big guy. He's a lefty, another guy whose arms go forever, 7'3" wingspan. But he has had a few struggles around the rim and scoring, but he's a good mid-range shooter. But his value right now, he's going to keep getting better. He's talented, but he can rebound and block shots. Runs the floor pretty well, but he's just 19 years old. And as he keeps maturing, yeah, he's got the talent level that I think he's going to be better and better. You start looking at big guys when they were 19, and he compares really favorably to some solid big guys.
So Zimmerman going to Orlando, Jazz on the clock. That pick is in. I've got a little intel. it tells me for those still remaining here in the Barclays Center that this pick is going to be quite popular, even though it's going to be made by Utah.
We got the Jazz.
With the 42nd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Isaiah Whitehead from Seton Hall University.
And there he is with his family and friends around him, Isaiah Whitehead, who was a terrific high school star here in Brooklyn for Lincoln High School, led Seton Hall to the Big East Tournament Championship, knocking off eventual national champion Villanova along the way. And Isaiah Whitehead, selected by the Jazz. The Rockets are now on the clock, and he's getting a nice little hometown welcome here.
He must have gotten a call a little bit ago because we just saw the reaction. Actually, before the announcement was made by the associate commissioner, all the little hullabaloo was going around Mr. Whitehead.
And it's great his hometown fans stuck around to actually see him get picked.
That's for sure.
Well, he is a really strong combo guard, and he's got good passing instincts, really good vision. He turns the ball over a little bit too much, 3.5 times per game, but he's got all the physical tools to be a good defender in the NBA. He gets steals. He actually is a really good guard shot blocker. Shoots about 6 free throws a game. Isaiah Whitehead's got a lot of ability, but his strength and his body and his ability to make plays, I think, are going to translate very well to the NBA.
Isaiah getting his moment with the Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum, wearing that Utah Jazz hat. He was McDonald's All-American coming out of high school, and Seton Hall's Pirate contingent on to celebrate on this night with Isaiah Whitehead and the Rockets now on the clock. About 1.5 minutes left to make their second round selection, which will be in shortly. In fact, I got it right here in my hand right now, but I won't steal the thunder. You mentioned briefly it's nice when the hometown crowd sort of sticks around to have a favorite son drafted. Just moments like that mean a lot to a player.
Absolutely, and that can propel you because on a night like tonight, you hope to go in the first round. You end up going in the second round. To have that support group helps you get back in the gym tomorrow and get back to work, Reese.
Rockets about to get back to work making picks, and so too is Mark Tatum, who will announce who the Rockets
Speed
are
at
taking.
point guard.
The 43rd point guard?
Yeah, Mike D'Antoni likes that pace.
All right, let's see who they get.
Kay Felder.
That would be a great one.
With the 43rd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Zhou from Xinjiang, China. He last played for the Xinjiang Flying Tigers in China.
Okay, so Zhou is the opposite of a point guard. He's 7'2", a little bit different. So this is a guy you really like, Fran.
Well, I like saying his nickname, Damo Wang, which means the Big Devil King. He's a long kid. I watched him 3 years ago at the Under-19 World Championships where he played very well. What his skill set is, outside shooting and shot blocking. The dilemma right now for his adjustment to the NBA, Reese, quite honestly, is strength. And he's going to need to be stronger to play in this league. But, hey, last time Houston took a guy that was from China, he turned out pretty good, Yao Ming. Don't expect that from this kid. Still, he's not coming over for at least one more year as he plays in the CBA. But 7'2", 7'3" wingspan, shoots the jumper, can block shots. You take a chance.
And by the way, I would say that Yao Ming worked out just fine, a member of the most recent Hall of Fame class, too. And now Zhou is a Houston Rocket, just as Yao Ming was. So Hawks are on the clock right now. Atlanta going to make a pick in the second round. We'll get you caught up when you come back.
So Jackson, Bensel.
And while we were in break, the Hawks were on the clock. And they took Isaiah Cordigna, a guard from France. Cordigna is here at his moment with Mark Tatum. Franny, what do the Hawks have here?
Very simply, 6'5", 19-year-old guard, combo guard. If you want a good comp for him, think Austin Rivers. Can play 1 or 2. Played in the Nike Hoop Summit, did not play well, but good prospect, good athlete, and good guard for the future.
Taurean Prince, DeAndre Bembry, the other guys going to Atlanta on this night, along with Cordigna, Isaiah Cordigna from France, the latest pick for the Hawks. All right, let's get Tom Penn in here now. And the New York Knicks haven't had a pick tonight, but they've been the biggest news of draft week really picking up Derrick Rose, Tom.
Yeah. Talk about the Knicks, you talk about him, Carmelo Anthony. Then let's take a swing around. All right, there he is, Derrick Rose, a great running mate. Then we come over here. Hey, Jay Billis, wingspan, still. And then let's come up to the shooting guard. They got Holiday in this deal. They're going to need to upgrade that. Let's talk about that in a second. But it comes front and center. This is what it's all about for the Knicks. $35 million in cap space. Phil Jackson, what are you going to do with it? We talked about Durant earlier. I don't think he's coming here. But then the bigs are gettable. And that's the key thing. They could get Gasol, I think. Dwight Howard, do you like him? I'll put Al Horford in as a real option that they could go aggressive early and get Horford. And then, or Joakim Noah, a nice complementary fit to come in here instead. They'd still have money left over to come now and start upgrading the backcourt. So what are we going to do there? You could bring back Aaron Aflalo and go with some more role players. You could go for a player like Eric Gordon, a little bit more of a fallen angel who may still have something left with a fresh start. This is the kind of makeover that's looking to happen in New York. Then you've got a plethora of NBA talent up here. The question is, you got nothing on the bench. You're going to have to still figure this out.
All right, Derrick Rose played more games than he has in the last several years. So quickly, they become a playoff team just by adding Derrick Rose. Lost 50 games last year.
Possibly if he's healthy, but it just shows that that's the Knicks' plan. They haven't made the playoffs the last few years, so do whatever we can do to try to get in the playoffs, because the players they traded for Derrick Rose were actually players Phil brought in.
All right, we'll continue this discussion momentarily. Celtics back on the clock. Here's Mark Tatum.
With the 45th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Demetrius Jackson from the University of Notre Dame.
Well, Demetrius ought to be familiar with all of that four-leaf clover stuff going from Notre Dame now to the Celtics, right?
Yeah, he's got a lot of green in the closet. But big-time athlete. He tested off the charts at the Combine. 43.5-inch vertical. That's 2 years in a row that Notre Dame, remember Pat Connaughton, what he did? Yep. Testing-wise, he had a 44-inch vertical. Notre Dame putting out some athletes. Really good off a pick and roll. He can score, gets to the rim and finishes, and plays low. Keeps his shoulders low. He can be a really good defender, and as in fact said, he wants to be an elite defender in the NBA. Solid frame, but I like the way he can shoot it. He's really, really good off pick and rolls. A 62% finisher around the rim. And then he had 114 assists out of pick and roll situations. Really good kid and a really good player.
You like those guys that play big in big games. He's really good in the tournament in their run to the Elite Eight, averaging nearly 18 per game. All right, the Mavericks ready to make a second-round pick, and Mark Tatum has it.
With the 46th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select A.J. Hammonds from Purdue University.
A.J. Hammonds, a big fella that at times had his motor questioned, but played 4 years at Purdue, very productive, shot blocker, patient inside, Jay.
Long, very talented, a low post scorer that can face up and hit a jumper. And you hit it. The only issue was the want to in him. Good shooter, very good offensive rebounder, and a very good shot blocker as well. 2.5 blocks per game. Damian Jones of Vanderbilt was a first-round draft pick. He dominated Damian Jones when they played against each other. He had 21 points. Hammonds did 10 rebounds and 7 blocks in that game. 62% of his offense comes from post-ups. And in an age where we're saying that, back to the basket players aren't as valuable, for a guy that can block shots, that can rebound, and then that can score in the post like he can, if he plays his tail off, he's got real value.
All right, Magic on the clock right now. I want to go back to the discussion we were having about the Knicks, the acquisition of Derrick Rose. I asked Zhelin, I'll ask you, to make him a playoff team. Look, assuming that he can play a reasonable number of games.
I mean, I think he's going to play more games this year. People talk about the second year being the year when you come back from that second surgery that you need. Look, there's going to be more. They're going to have somebody else come in the mix at center, whether Gasol's name has been mentioned. Certainly, Joakim Noah seems like something of a really good fit if he chooses to do that. He's a New Yorker. He and Rose are tight. There was no split between those guys when they were members of the Bulls the entire time. They're like brothers. So there's going to be more, and yes, I can see them making the playoffs in the East. Look, there have been a lot of teams popping up. Detroit has come up. Charlotte has come up. A lot of teams have come up, but still, there's some room there at the bottom to get in the playoffs. And Carmelo Anthony, if he can come back healthy as well, there's reason to be optimistic. I'm not going to get wildly optimistic, Reese, but optimistic.
Well, they need some optimism now, don't they?
That's why you base success off of realistic expectation.
Yeah. And last year, they thought that they hadn't done a good job with the draft, all upset about Porzingis. And now, look at little Sparky there. That's a Knicks jersey, feeling the optimism. Porzingis. Oh, is he the one? That's the same kid? That's the same young man who was not happy about Porzingis. Now he loves it.
No, this is not a game. Patience and determination. Staring at it body.
Second round of the NBA draft continues here in Brooklyn. Here are the most recent selections. In fact, while you were away, you saw A.J. Hammond's pick. Because after we went to break, Jake Layman from Maryland, picked up by the Magic. Layman has good shooting stroke, athletic guy. And then Paul Zipser, chosen by the Bulls. He is a small forward out of Germany. And now that brings us to Detroit with the 49th overall pick. Here is Mark Tatum, the deputy commissioner.
With the 49th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Michael Benege from Syracuse University.
There is Benege, who started his career playing at Duke, transferred to Syracuse, had an outstanding senior season, averaged better than 17 points per game. Good shooter, Jay.
He is a good jump shooter. He can shoot it off the catch. He can shoot it off the dribble. Good in transition. Did a great job in the open floor. That was about 22-23% of his overall offense. But he really improved himself. He played a lot of point guard for Syracuse. He's a pretty darn good handler. Not a great one, but a good one. And a pretty good passer. They obviously played a lot of 2-3 zone. That's all they played. But he was very good anticipating, getting steals, jumping out in passing lanes. And just really improved himself year to year. And really good driving in a straight line. But his transition ability, his ability to shoot it, made him a draft pick here.
Benege going to the Pistons, and before they played him at point guard, didn't Boeheim say he had trouble dribbling through drills initially when he first got there, and he wound up improving himself to the point he could play the lead guard position?
He just stuck with it, you know. The guy, and that's the point that Michael's been making is, 20, 30 years ago, when guys stayed 4 years, nobody said, well, they're not going to get any better. They're already 22 years old. But you understand that the younger guys, they have higher ceilings, and you can see that, hey, they could really shoot past them. They don't always do that. But you got a sure thing here in Benege. He's going to, he can make the team. He can make shots. He's going to work, and he's going to keep his mouth shut and be a good teammate. He's solid.
Going to be well coached, and Detroit has some versatility at the forward spot with Tobias Harris and Morris. They're really interchangeable, so now you add them to the mix who can handle and shoot off the dribble.
All things that Stan Van Gundy likes, all those attributes that Jay just rolled off.
Yes, it did.
He did no nonsense. I mean, Stan's not going to want to bring somebody in the second round who's a prima donna, who is going to feel entitled, and if somebody owes him something, there's no chance that's going to happen in Detroit right now.
So Benege goes to Detroit. Coming out of Syracuse, can play multiple positions. Pacers on the clock right now. Indiana's been active in making some trades, as I'm sure you know. One of the proposed trades brings Jeff Teague to them now in the second round. And can they find a little bit of value, a guy perhaps can scrap and make the team for them? Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum has the choice.
With the 50th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Indiana Pacers select George Niang from Iowa State University.
Well, I was talking to his college coach, Fred Hoiberg, who's now the Bulls coach, about him. He said, George, they're going to say the same thing. He's not quite big enough, not quite athletic enough, not quite this, not quite that. And he'll just find a way, because that's what he did as a Cyclone.
Yeah, he knows how to play. We said the same thing about Denzel Valentine. And, the question's always been his athleticism. He's not fleet of foot. He doesn't get up and down. He jump that high, but he's an undersized, playmaking four-man who's incredibly effective. And he can get his shot off, he uses fakes. He's got we call it like an old man game, but he just understands what's going on in the basketball court and finds a way to get shots off. And he is really hard to guard. I mean, really hard to guard. Kind of like Larry Bird. He was really hard to guard.
Isn't it amazing how the four-man has evolved?
Yeah.
I mean, the word stretch four didn't even exist. Who's the first person described as a stretch four? I mean, it's probably
a face. Yeah, we'd call him face-up forward. Then it became a stretch forward.
Stretch four.
Yeah.
But and so many of these international players now, Jay, fit that bill, which means maybe they owe their existence to Dirk Nowitzki, the father of it.
Yeah.
All 20-some years ago, I guess we first heard of Dirk. But now people are allowed to do so many things, and the position is approached more creatively.
I think the term stretch initially came from your body build and your mass, because the power forwards looked to be bulky and physical and strong, to a guy that now played more finesse facing the basket. And this guy, again, the Pacers need quality bigs that can give them minutes. They overhauled their roster, especially up front, the last couple of years. He has a chance to be productive.
Why do I think of Brad Lowhouse when I think of like an original guy to step out there and shoot it as a big guy? Okay, the Celtics have been on the clock all night, it seems. They've traded some of those picks. They're about to make a 51st selection now. There's
Tom Chambers. With the 51st pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Ben Bentel from Ghana and Providence College.
And Ben Bentel, the Ghana flag flying just off to our left. Beside him, Ben is making his way down out of the stands right now. Teamed with Chris Dunn at Providence, scored better than 21 points per game. He's an honorable mention All-America this past season. Got the Friars into the tournament. And a little celebration here for another stretch four. We go out and shoot it from outside.
And he can really stretch, yes, because he's top 15 in the country in pick-and-pop situations. So he's competitive, he can shoot it. He's really improved from one year to the next. 21 points a game, as you mentioned. Another guy whose arms go forever. He's got a 7'1" wingspan at 6'8". Strictly a catch-and-shoot guy. Only 4 or 5% of his shots came off the dribble. But that catch and shoot, he gets it off quickly. He is unafraid to let it go, and he can really score. Now, he's a little bit behind defensively. He needs to be a better rebounder. But Ben Bentel can stretch a defense because he can put him in the corner. He can make shots as a trailer coming down, setting a trail ball screen or drag ball screen. I don't know what he's got going on there. That distracted me.
It was the bling part of it, Jay, that got all of us.
Coach Ann Cooley's done a really good job with the Providence program.
Yes, he has. Now, they had a run in the tournament, played in a tough environment, got past the first round of the NCAA tournament with Dunn and Bentel this year, and then had to play North Carolina in the state of North Carolina. Never an easy task in the postseason, but Bentel and Chris Dunn both acquitted themselves well. Bentel, we were talking about surprises in our meetings yesterday. I don't know. Maybe I fell in love with Providence or something. I think Bentel can be one of those guys.
He can be prolific at times.
Yeah.
I mean, when Jay's talking about stretching the defense, he can. He just sort of gets stuck in automatic mode sometimes. But he can go for a while. Now, you don't know how that's going to translate. But we're not the only ones. You hear the little roar go up from the Celtics fans who were in the house, who got to see him a lot, obviously regionally. And people just like him as a college player.
So Ben Bentel selected by the Celtics, a 51st pick. Utah now has a choice to make, and choice will be announced by Mark Tatum.
We have a trade to announce. The Milwaukee Bucks trade the draft rights to Patrick McCaw, the 38th pick, to the Golden State Warriors for financial considerations. With the 52nd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Joel Balamboy from Ukraine and Weber State University.
This will be the biggest thing out of Weber State. Harold the Show Arsenault and Eddie the Thrill Gill. Both from Weber State, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
Yeah.
He can rebound. What Joel Balamboy does is rebound. Per 40 minutes, he is the best rebounder in this draft. 16 rebounds per 40 minutes. best overall athlete, especially at his size, at the NBA Draft Combine. He was in the top 6 in every category that was measured. And for a guy that size to be that agile, that mobile, to have that quick feet, and to get off the floor like he does, a 40-inch vertical at 6'9" with a 7'1" wingspan. He can make a face-up shot. He's effective in pick-and-pop situations. But what makes him stand out is he can rebound. He can get you extra possessions.
Jazz taking Ballon Boy with the 52nd overall pick. Nuggets back on the clock. Pick number 53 as we're winding down on draft night in New York City. All right, a few moments ago, the Nuggets took Peter Corneli, a forward from France. You see him greeting Mark Tatum. Fran, what about Corneli?
Think of him, Reese, as Channing Frye. Good athlete, can stretch a defense with the 3, and not really long, doesn't really block shots. Stretch 4-man. Channing Frye. Little sidebar here, his sister was a terrific player at the University of Dayton. Great shot blocker and rebounder. She just graduated. English is great. And probably going to have to stay in France because that Denver Nugget front line is loaded right now.
Man.
All right, Brandon, in the break, Billis dropped knowledge, too. Teammate of Muftal Yaru.
Yeah, formerly Villanova.
Formerly Villanova there. Okay, now Hawks on the clock. Here's Tatum.
With the 54th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Kay Felder from Oakland University.
If you haven't seen Kay Felder, I mean, when we were on the road for College Game Day, Friday night, ESPNU, Horizon, must-see TV with Kay Felder going.
Kay Felder is a lefty, averaged, 24 points per game, 9 assists per game, led the nation in assists. And when I was at Virginia earlier in the year, I had mentioned to Malcolm Brogdon, they were playing Oakland. I said, man, watch out for this Felder dude. He can really play. And they go, who is that guy? They found out because he lit up Michigan State, taking overtime. He lit up Virginia. Whenever they played a BCS conference team, he lit them up. And he's small, but he's shaped like a bullet, and he runs like one. Kay Felder can absolutely play, and it's kind of like you said before, or we said before, about Tyler Ulis. You know, if you're good enough, you're big enough, and he's good enough. And, he's not going to fail in the NBA. He's got too much heart.
I believe he reminds me a lot of Isaiah Thomas, where he can get his shot off the bounce, mid-range, three-point range, and fearless driving to the basket.
5 years ago tonight that Isaiah Thomas was the last guy taken in this draft. Kay Felder, 54th overall. Brooklyn Nets now about to make a pick.
With the 55th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Marcus Page from the University of North Carolina.
As a popular pick with the Nets fans, Marcus Page, the former Tar Heel, coming to Brooklyn. All right, Andy Katz is with us once again. Andy, what news have you got for us?
Well, actually, he is headed to Utah because Utah has traded the rights to Isaiah Whitehead for this 55th pick and cash. So Marcus Page will go to Utah, and Isaiah Whitehead will play here in Brooklyn. And I caught up with him after his pick was announced. He says, look, it's a blessing that he's going to play here in his hometown team. He said he doesn't feel any extra pressure playing in Brooklyn. He said the Nets have been scouting him basically his whole career, so he feels very comfortable playing here in Brooklyn. So he'll be in Brooklyn. Marcus Page in Utah. Back to you, Reese.
Okay, that'll make it even more popular, Andy. As we have a look at Marcus Page, I believe that Whitehead will be the first Brooklyn-born player to play for the Brooklyn Nets. I haven't been here that long. What about Marcus Page and his opportunity at Utah?
You know, I'm really glad to see Marcus Page get drafted because this guy has played so hard and so well at the University of North Carolina, and last year did not shoot the ball as well as he's capable of shooting it. Had some injuries his junior year, fought through them. Really good in pick and roll situations. Excellent passer, but in pick and rolls, he was 8th in the nation with almost 1.2 points per possession. Plays his tail off on the defensive end. He's small and he's slight of build. He needs to get stronger, and I think he will. But he's another guy that knows how to play, and he's way more athletic than you think, and he's way more athletic than he looks. His vertical leap measured out to 39.5 inches. And most people wouldn't have thought that looking at him. But you talk about a great kid and a guy who's going to be a great teammate. That's Marcus Page, and I'm glad to see him get picked here and go into Utah because I think he can play in the NBA.
I mean, you had the emotional senior night at North Carolina, took the Tar Heels that close to winning a national championship. Nuggets about to make a pick. Only 5 picks left in this draft. Here's Mark Tatum.
With the 56th pick in the 2016 NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets select Daniel Hamilton from the University of Connecticut.
Daniel Hamilton's shooting percentage wasn't great, but he did a lot of different things for UConn.
He can rebound, he can run, he's a very good handler and an excellent passer. He is a versatile player, but he's not a particularly good shooter, and he needs to get a little bit tougher on the defensive end, but he's got some ability. His shot is unorthodox, and I think he needs to have a higher release point on it, but he can make plays. And he's a good, solid player, and he's got size, and I think he's going to continue. If he really works on his mechanics and works on his game, he's got some value.
Daniel Hamilton, drafted by the Nuggets. 4 picks remaining in this draft, and of course the idea tonight is to build your roster and get the assets so that perhaps you can challenge for a championship and maybe ride in the parade with a big cigar, just the way King James did through the streets of Cleveland. Kevin Love was there. The championship run from the Cavaliers that led J.R. Smith to throw away all of his shirts.
Welcome to Game 7 of the NBA Finals. James steps back for 3. Pops it in. Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for layup. Oh, blocked by James. Irving and Curry. One-on-one with Irving. Puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. It's over. It's over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions. Cleveland's long sports nightmare has ended.
So the Cavaliers win the championship, and now they have to turn the page. So Tom Penn joins us now. What about the future of the Cavalier roster?
I think the future looks a lot like the present. Probably not many changes. Their core is here. You see, they all make a lot of money. There's no cap room on this team. You know, LeBron James is going to opt out. He's going to be a free agent. Here's why. He'll cancel the $24 million. He'll pick up $27.6, add another year. That's plus $33 million for the trouble. That's good. Then the next year he can add $203 million, maybe more, to his deal. So Jalen Rose, pay attention to that number. It's bigger than all those ones you were talking about earlier. Woo! I think the only thing we might be talking about with Kevin Love is, you know, should they trade Kevin Love? Should they trade Kevin Love? They're not going to trade Kevin Love. I think they're going to come back, tinker around the edges, try to do it all over again.
All right, Tom, you know what? Is that what you do?
I don't know. Try to go back-to-back. Why not?
Why not?
It's a salary cap-driven sport. You got to consider it, but
I keep hearing, you know, Kevin Love goes back to where he's the man. I'm sure that's great, but he did that. He put up numbers for a long time.
And he already got his money. Get the ring.
Now he's getting rings.
16 is presented by State Farm. We exist to assist. And in part by Samsung and the Galaxy S7 Edge. And Tecate and Tecate Light. Born bold. Enjoy responsibly.
With the first pick, the Philadelphia 76ers select Ben Simmons.
Recent selections made here in the second round of the NBA draft. The 2 most recent ones, Wang, Zhelin, a center from China who was chosen by the Grizzlies with the 57th overall pick, and then perhaps the 58th pick, a surprise out of Iowa State, Abdul Nader, just finished up his career there.
Long-armed and can run in transition and finish plays.
The next to last pick of the draft, here's Mark Tatum.
With the 59th pick in the 2016 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Isaiah Cousins from the University of Oklahoma.
One of Buddy Hield's backcourt mates, Isaiah Cousins, had a terrific season in Oklahoma going to the Final Four.
Move to the point guard position. He's a big-time athlete, unafraid. He's a worker. He's tough. 41% career three-point shooting percentage. He doubled his assist average this year. 79% of his field goal attempts have been jump shots. With that, he's got NBA three-point range, and he is way more athletic than most people think. A Mount Vernon, New York kid, and just tough as nails.
Does tough. He demonstrated that not only on the court, but while back home in Mount Vernon during his college career at Oklahoma. He was a victim, an innocent bystander, and ended up getting shot in the shoulder. Fortunately, okay, no ill effects from that, but he's certainly shown a great deal of toughness. Now, the last pick in the draft belongs to the Jazz. Michael, as you look at this night, up to this point, who's won the night? Who's carried the night for you?
Well, anytime you have the #1 pick and you choose a player as talented as the player the Philadelphia 76ers got, you can declare them the winner. But I'm going to look at volume a little bit. I'm going to look at the Phoenix Suns.
That's where I would agree
with
too.
Bender and Chris and Scalabrine and Tyler Ulis. Did I miss anybody, Jalen?
That's enough.
That's enough. That's a haul. I mean, seriously, for a team that needs a lot of different things. I mean, they're going to have to really coordinate that. Coach Watson is going to have some pieces at his disposal, Earl Watson, to put into play. I like what the Suns did.
And I'll just go with the easy pick, the Philadelphia 76ers, because we're going to talk about a lot of players through the end of the night. But I'll tell you what, if Ben Simmons develops a jump shot, he's going to be a superstar in this league, and he's going to make the players around him better. Philadelphia now has an identity, a face of the franchise, somebody they can build upon, especially after the struggles of the last few seasons.
I like Philadelphia because they got Ben Simmons, but I thought it was interesting what Oklahoma City did to make themselves better. I think Atlanta did a good job in the draft, and I like what New Orleans did, getting Buddy Hield and Sheck Diallo. They made some nice moves in this draft.
I liked what the Nuggets did, too. Yeah. The Nuggets added to their core in a nice way. They needed some shooting. They were able to get that with a couple of guys. Utah Jazz will make the final pick of the night. The Deputy Commissioner of the NBA will bring the festivities to a close by announcing the final pick. I've mentioned this a couple of times. 5 years ago it was Isaiah Thomas.
Gary Payton III.
We have another trade to announce. The Utah Jazz trade the draft rights to Isaiah Whitehead, the 42nd pick, to the Brooklyn Nets for Marcus Page, the 55th pick, and financial considerations. Before tonight's final pick, I'd like to thank ESPN and our broadcasters around the world for their coverage of our draft. I'd also like to thank everyone here tonight in Brooklyn for being such passionate NBA fans. With the 60th pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Tyrone Wallace from the University of California, Berkeley. Good night, everyone.
Tyrone Wallace, the final guy taken in this draft, a 6'5" point guard, played with Jaylen Brown and Cal.
Yeah, another big guard with length. He's got a 6'9" wingspan, not necessarily a shooter. 29% three-point shooter for his career, 32% on jump shots, but he's more of a playmaker. 4.5 assists, 2.5 turnovers a game. Very good in pick-and-roll situations. I don't think his shot is broken. He takes some bad ones here and there, but I think he can really improve as a shooter. But a very good defensive rating among Pac-12 guards. Just a good player that can do a lot of different things, and I think will improve as a shooter as he puts more time into it.
We're going to find over the next couple of weeks just how these pieces are going to move around. Free agency opens. You have the moratorium. Salary cap's going to be set about a week into the month of July. The courting can commence. The talks will start on the first day. How many of these guys on the board will actually wind up with the teams that drafted them? Thanks for watching the NBA Draft tonight. SportsCenter's coming up with John Butchercross and John Anderson. For everyone on our ESPN Draft crew, I'm Reese Davis saying good night from Brooklyn.